For 92 years, Middlesbrough fans have regarded Ayresome Park as the heart of their football world. Through the highs and lows, the faithful have always turned up. But after today, life won't be quite the same because the borough are leaving Ayresome Park. We're saying farewell to the old ground in style with a stream of memories from down the years. A host of great borough characters are back on Teesside for this unique day in the club's history, and we'll be meeting some of them. But for Brian Robson, today is all about the future and not the past. Can his team take another huge step towards promotion and grab a place in the Premiership? The last league game at Ayresome Park is Middlesbrough against Luton Town, and it's live on the Tyne-Tees Match. Hello and welcome to an absolutely sun-drenched Ayresome Park. This should be our last visit to this famous old ground because the borough are on the move. They're going to their new super stadium on the banks of the River Tees for the start of next season. Only the dreaded playoffs would see us back here before then, but 2 wins out of 2 for Brian Robson's side would mean they're in football's elite in the Premiership next season. Our match kicks off at 5 to 3 this afternoon, but before then, we're taking a tremendous trip down memory lane, and joining us is one man who knows all about this place.
So there must be goals somewhere. Jones, Hickton coming in on it at last, and now, yes, it's there from David Mills.
Pushing the space on the right. And it's a goal scored by Mills. Nothing going there to come in with it. Armstrong. Mills, an equaliser. Armstrong. Ashcroft still gets his head to it. Mills is scored. Mills is there. Oh, a beautiful goal by Mills. Mills going through the gap. That's lovely football. Surely, yes. Beautiful goal. That was a magnificent bit of football.
The man with the farewell kiss is, of course, David Mills. 381 appearances for the borough, 108 goals, and our regular co-commentator on the borough. Well, David, welcome to our perched point above the Ayresome Park pitch. It really is looking fantastic out there.
Super atmosphere, isn't it, already? I mean, we're only at 2 o'clock and the ground's virtually full now. Massive red and white. Don't see too many people in the two-tone green away strip. It's all red and white, people with shirts on, balloons, flags, everything, and of course a marvellous day weather-wise.
You came here as a 10-year-old boy, you joined the staff as an apprentice, had tremendous success here. You must have a stack of tremendous memories about this place.
Many, many memories, yes, and fortunately I was lucky enough to have some successful times as well, and hopefully the club will go on to success even further after today. I mean, it is about memories, but it's also about the future as well, and of course the future of Middlesbrough Football Club is now under Brian Robson, and hopefully the club will gain their access to the Premiership, and as I say, I've still got my memories to look back on, and as you say, over 33 years is a long time.
And when you look back at some of those goals, did you really realise that you were that good?
Looking at that, I don't think I did, Duncan, no. I mean, people used to say that I missed a lot of chances, but looking at that, it was nice to see a few of those go in.
When we take a look outside, I mean, they really are expecting everything to happen here this afternoon. Get this win and then move on to Tranmere next week. And there's a great air of expectancy amongst all these people out there in red and white.
Yes, I think that's very true. I don't think we can afford to lose sight of the fact that what this afternoon is all about. It's primarily a football match against Luton, and of course, whilst Middlesbrough will be lifted from the atmosphere, Luton will also get a lift as well. The fact that it's going out on television will inspire their players, and they have a very, very good away record. I think there's only Middlesbrough and Reading that have won more away games than Luton, so it's not going to be an easy fixture. It's not a foregone conclusion, and Middlesbrough will have to perform well. Hopefully they'll go on to win the game. I've got a feeling they'll win the game, but it's not a foregone conclusion. As I say, it's not going to be an easy game. OK,
for the moment, thanks very much, David. We've got a fantastic parade of players lined up for you very shortly. They're going to be shown to the fans here at Ayresome Park and go in front of that Holgate end and have a tremendous time. The borough, of course, still, as David says, have it all to do, but Sunderland, they're safe in the First Division. They only managed a point down at Burnley yesterday, but Swindon, they lost against Portsmouth. Let's take a look at that action now. We can go down now and join our touchline reporter for the afternoon, which is Ian Payne. He's talking to Willie Madron, the former Borough player and the former Borough manager. Here's Ian with Willie Madron.
A man who's joined Middlesbrough at the same time as David Mills, the Stoke player and manager here. Happy memories of Ayresome Park.
Very fun memories, yes. It's wonderful to see such an occasion as today. All the colour, all the old players I've just been talking to in the marquee back there. Some wonderful memories.
Of course, when you were here, Willie, the club wasn't quite financially on its uppers. Things have changed. You're pleased to see the rejuvenation.
Yes, there were difficult days, but I'm delighted to say the club's gone full circle. And let's hope we can get the right result today to put the icing on the cake.
A great atmosphere this afternoon. Hopefully they'll be the First Division champions within the next week.
Well, they should suck the ball into the net this afternoon, shouldn't they? Such fervent support, I don't think they can fail.
Thanks very much indeed, Willie. Enjoy the afternoon.
Pleasure, thank you.
And the first players, I can tell you, have just come out on the pitch now. Bernie Sladen amongst them, and what a tremendous reception they're getting here at Ayresome Park. We're going to take a short break now, but we'll be back with a couple of Borough legends. And we've seen some fantastic goals at this ground over the years. Let's take a look at them, and we'll be back straight after this break.
This is Proctor, and Cochrane's got a million miles of ball. And it's a
Jenkins going and pushing out wide for Bell. Wood again. Oh, that's a superb goal from Darren Wood.
Sanas, a beautiful goal.
Knock forward for Hendry, back down, helping the defence. It's fair motoring through midfield now. John Hendry looking for support. Hendry's still going. This is a terrific run and a fantastic goal from John Hendry.
Welcome back to Ayresome Park. The noise is deafening around here. The parade of players has started. David Mills is with us in our commentary position. Let's take a look outside, though, because these are some fantastic scenes at Ayresome this afternoon. They've invited so many players back, and really they're taking their bow. Harold Shepherdson in picture there, David. He gave a lot to this club, and really they're getting what they deserve now, these players walking around the pitch.
Very much so, yes. Just going out of shot, it was Brian Orrit and John Coddington, and Willie Wigham there just shaking hands, I see, with people in the terracing there. I mean, it must be a long time since Willie Wigham was back here at Ayresome Park, and of course a successful member of the promotion-winning side of Stan Anderson. Eric McMordy there in the centre picture, and Billy Horner, of course, who were both here when I was here as a young boy.
Big
Arthur Horsfield, yes, Malcolm there. Arthur Horsfield just went through behind Eric.
Malcolm, of course, without his cigar, without a fedora, we don't really recognise him sometimes.
No, that's right.
Some of the current players there, Gary Gill going around, of course, who had his career at Darlington, Mark Burke.
Yeah, Dean Glover there just shaking hands and having a few words with the supporters there in the Holgate end. Obviously, familiar faces. Brian Laws, of course, there with a red and white scarf round his neck in the blue jacket, now manager of Grimsby, of course, and again one of Willie Madron's successful buys.
Fantastic scenes outside,
Super.
David.
I mean, the players will be loving every minute of this, and it's terrific to hear the response from the supporters as well. All credit to them, because every player has met with a terrific response, and rightly so.
OK, David, well, thanks for the moment. Middlesbrough fans aren't really used to success over the 92 years that they've been at Ayresome Park. Unfortunately, hopefully that's all about to change as they just leave the ground. Roger Thames has been taking a look back over those years. They weren't so glorious, but they really were exceptional.
The North Stand must have been a magnificent sight back in 1903 when Middlesbrough moved into Ayresome Park. Nearly a century of use and still going strong. The Borough were thinking big then. The £1,000 they paid Sunderland for Alf Common was a football landmark. Tim Williamson was the keeper on that first day at Ayresome. His 610 appearances are still a club record. The goals of George Campsell dominated the late 20s and 30s as the club suffered a familiar seesaw tale of promotions and relegations. In 1954, Ayresome Park staged an epic Amateur Cup final second replay when Crook beat Bishop Auckland, but home fans had little to celebrate that season with relegation and the start of a 20-year exile from the top flight. The ground got a refit in the 60s. The extra work proved more than timely when it pipped St James's Park for the '66 World Cup. Ironically, the year the club slumped to the 3rd Division for the first time. That was a one-season nightmare, but there was little champagne flowing till Big Jack strode into town.
Well, more of Big Jack's team in a moment, but first, here's one of the elder statesmen of the Middlesbrough's former players that are here today, Ralph Burkett, a man who made his debut in 1935, a long time ago. You have some happy memories of Ayresome Park.
Very happy indeed. Yes. The happiest probably of my football career.
It's a club full of tradition, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I came from a good club, Arsenal, you know, but it wasn't quite the same. But here, all the players mucked in, there was no bother. You see that a lot of managers ranting and raving. There was none of that in those days. You went out to enjoy yourself.
Times have changed. Are you happy you were a footballer in that era rather than...
Bit of a problem there. Tell you what, we'll take a look at now the two players who rise to the top of every list that you look back over the history of Borough. They're always there and they're always linked together. They are, of course, George Hardwick and Wilf Mannion. Hardwick, the stylish full-back and England captain, Mannion, the quicksilver inside forward, and Golden Boy, both the greats of the post-war period. The two Borough stars always seemed to be spoken of in the same breath, even after their playing days had finished. But their careers went in different directions, with only Hardwick opting for management. Middlesbrough fans of all generations held them in such esteem that public demand saw Hardwick and Mannion earn a long overdue testimonial match in May 1983. Few would argue that history will dub them the kings of Ayresome Park. They really have made a terrific contribution, and they're going to be out there if they're not already out there on the pitch. Let's take a look and see what's going on outside. They're seeing some fantastic scenes at Ayresome Park this afternoon, scenes I never thought they would see. Some great players coming back to this club who've really made a fantastic contribution, David.
That's right. I mean, I'm not sure who that one is. I saw Ray Yeoman go through. There's George Hardwick, of course, and Tony Mowbray just in behind, getting a terrific response as well. George will be loving that, won't he? I mean, the playing days are gone. Stuart Bone there again. It's a while since I've seen Stuart. David Hodgson there in the light suit shaking hands. It's a while since David was back here. Of course, a little more present day than the older generation, but he'll be enjoying that, and it'll be good for Stuart as well. He's looking a little bit aged there. Makes me look a little bit younger, I think.
I'll tell you what, the sun is absolutely pouring down on Ayresome Park. You couldn't wish for a better afternoon at Ayresome. Now, if you had to pick one Middlesbrough side which really stood out during the history, at this ground, it would surely be the team that Jack built. Jack Charlton's presence and personality really lifted the whole club, and the World Cup winner really turned the Borough into record breakers.
April 6, 1974, and Ayresome Park salutes the team that ended a 20-year exile from the First Division. Jack Charlton's men had just rattled off their 9th win in a row. The Second Division title had already been guaranteed with 6 games left. Big Jack had inherited most of his team from Stan Anderson, but Charlton made them unstoppable, with Celtic's gifted Bobby Murdoch his inspired key signing. Ayresome Park became a fortress, 20 home games without defeat. These were the days when the manager's wife worked in the club shop. The players who made up that team became the backbone of Borough's history. Right back, John Craggs topped the loyalty list, with 8 of them passing the 300-game mark, including his full-back partner Frank Spraggan. Striker John Hicton was a well-established crowd favourite, and Holgate Enders really took to leading scorer Alan Foggan, a genuine North East character. But exciting youngsters made their mark too, like livewire David Mills. David Armstrong began a quite astonishing run of playing every game for 7 seasons. And Graham Souness, a Scottish midfielder rejected by Spurs, was on his way to world stardom. But in typical Charlton style, success was based on defence. Skipper Stuart Bone was a man of granite. The cultured Willie Madron, the perfect partner at the back. Irish keeper Jim Platt let in just 30 league goals. It all added up to Big Jack, giving Ayresome Park the most successful team in 92 years of league football.
Well, with me now, the captain of that great side of the 70s, Stuart Bone, a man largely responsible for making this fortress Ayresome Park. Great memories of that time.
Very kind of you to say that, yeah, but think we're getting sprayed
We're
with
getting
water at the
absolutely
moment.
soaked here. This wasn't the best place to stand. Sorry about that, Stuart.
It's all right, but it's really nice to be back here again, and I feel a bit tearful about the old stadium coming down because we had some magnificent times here, and it's nice to see the old lads again, John Hickton, John Craggs, David Mills. I've met them all in the last 10 minutes and I haven't seen them for 15 years, so it's really good to be back, and I'm glad Middlesbrough are doing so well.
Of course, that promotion in the 70s was something to savour. Hopefully there'll be another one this season.
Hopefully. I've only seen them a couple of times this season and I've been very impressed with them, and of course you need the run of the ball and a little bit of luck like we had, but I think they'll win the championship anyway. Good luck to them.
Enjoy the match, enjoy the afternoon. Thanks very much, Stuart.
Thank you.
He got a drenching there. Now look, there's a sight that we all wanted to see this afternoon. Wilf Mannion out there shaking the hands of the supporters, the ones that, you know, they're too young to know what he achieved for this club, but he really did mean a lot.
Well, I'm too young as well, to be honest, Duncan, but probably arguably the greatest Middlesbrough player ever. Certainly he'll be enjoying every moment of that. Certainly the youngsters won't remember him, but the mums and dads will, that's for sure.
There we are, there's the youngsters who, you know, really mean so much by getting Borough promotion this season to the Premiership. That's what they're really relying on now.
Well, they're the future, aren't they? They'll be looking forward, hopefully, to access to the Premiership, and, of course, looking forward to a multi-million-pound new ground next season. Alan Peacock there, one of my heroes, if you like, for Middlesbrough. Alan was in the Middlesbrough side when I used to come in the early 60s with my father and watch Middlesbrough in those days. A gentleman as well, Superman, and it's good to see him there being appreciated.
Sea of red and white that we can see at Ayresome Park this afternoon. The last ever league match here at this famous old ground. We've had 92 years of fantastic history. As we can see, the present-day teams, Luton at that end and just now out warming up. And we've got some of the Borough players on the pitch as well. They're just getting used to this atmosphere, soaking it all up. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more from Ayresome Park. The Borough, the pride of the North East, they certainly will be this season if they get promotion to the Premiership. Welcome back to the Tyne-Tees match at Ayresome Park. We're live and have exclusive coverage of Middlesbrough against Luton for you this afternoon. We've already taken a look back over the years. Now let's turn the clock back to the 50s. The shining light of that era was one Brian Clough, who was back at the club a couple of months ago to celebrate George Hardwick's 75th birthday. Sadly, he couldn't make it this afternoon, but Cloughie will be affectionately remembered here by all at Ayresome Park. Let's go down now to talk to Ian Payne, see who he's got with him this time.
Thanks, Duncan. Yes, with me now, Alan Peacock, a man who spent his Middlesbrough career in the second division, but still managed to get a call-up for England for the '62 World Cup squad. Happy memories for you, Alan.
Oh, certainly, certainly. Even better today. Lovely, wonderful atmosphere.
Great to come and be reunited with some of your former teammates.
Unbelievable. Players that I used to watch when I was a kid, players I've played with, and the players after me. All together, atmosphere's terrific in there, and I'm sure it is here.
Of course, one of your more famous striking partners, Brian Clough, isn't here today,
well,
but you were the man that helped him score the goals, is that right?
Yeah, but a bit disappointed that Brian's not here today. I'd like to see him, and I'm sure the crowd do that.
Rumours that...
Well, David, I mean, you've already said Alan Peacock was one of your greats. What did he do for the club, really?
Well, he was a terrific foil, wasn't he, for Brian Clough? I mean, people used to say traditionally that he was very significant in contributing into the number of goals that Brian scored. And if you look traditionally over the years, at the successful sides, the majority of successful sides, the striking partners, whilst were good individuals, always worked well together. And Clough and Peacock were no exception. If you come to more modern-day football, you had your Keegans and your Toshaks, and your Ray Kennedys and your John Radfords. So Alan Peacock was a very, very influential figure at that particular time.
We're outside again now, looking at some of the supporters enjoying themselves and the players who've come back to Ayresome Park today, really making the most of that. The atmosphere here is terrific. Let's just take a look at this. OK, well, over the years, Ayresome Park has specialised in many promotion campaigns, but 2 in a row that took Borough from third to first, captured the spirit of Teesside. In '86, Middlesbrough FC was declared bankrupt. A consortium stepped in to save the club, but they still needed a saviour for the team.
Ayresome Park looked to have staged its last game 9 years ago, when the official receiver moved in to shut the gates on Middlesbrough's footballing future. In the summer of '86, nobody dared imagine the old ground would rock to scenes like these less than 12 months later. This man was the inspiration, Bruce Rioch. September 2nd, '86, and possibly the most important cup tie in Borough history. Hartlepool in the Littlewoods Cup meant Ayresome Park was back in business. Fittingly, Borough celebrated with a fine goal from Stuart Ripley, one of a hardcore of young local talent, around which Rioch and Colin Todd rebuilt Teesside football. The new manager inherited a club which had slid into the 3rd division for only the 2nd time. They stayed just 1 season. The promotion celebrations had a deeper meaning after near extinction. But Rioch had created a driving force that wouldn't stop, and on the pitch he could rely on another all-time Borough great. Mogger was the man Rioch would take to the moon. Alongside him, a talent destined to be a star, Gary Pallister. The fans felt this was really their team, not big money buys, but players the club had developed, like top scorer Bernie Slaven. At £25,000, surely the Borough's best ever bargain. But home defeat by Leicester in the final match gave Ayresome Park one of its worst days, with automatic promotion snatched away. Yet this team's spirit was to win through. The playoffs gave Teesside unforgettable drama and First Division status once again.
Well, the bargain buy who helped Middlesbrough to those 2 successive promotions, Bernie Slaven. Great memories, Bernie.
Some great memories, and let's hope today's a memory. I'm not playing a part, but I hope they get it today.
Of course, everyone's looking forward now to a bright new future for Middlesbrough with the new ground and hopefully into the Premiership.
That's right. I think the fans deserve that. They turn up in their numbers every week, and I just hope they do it for the fans.
It's a similar kind of atmosphere now as when in the 80s when the Teesside lads and yourself, of course, got together and helped promotion.
That's right. There's only one thing that sticks in my mind. We played Leicester City here, and it was a day like today, nice weather, carnival atmosphere, and we let the fans down. We get beat 3-1. So let's hope that doesn't happen today, and I'm sure it'll not.
Fingers crossed for them. Thanks very much indeed,
Yeah,
Bernie.
thanks a lot. Cheers. Cheers.
Well, we've just been told, and the crowd have just been told, that Brian Robson definitely plays this afternoon. That's the up-to-date team news. We have to say goodbye to David Mills now. We're going to take a very short break. He's taking a few paces along that corridor to be in the commentary box with Roger Thames. We're going to take a quick break. Welcome back to the Tyne Tees match, which is live and exclusive at Ayresome Park. It's died down a bit out there, but I'm sure it'll get rousing again very shortly. I've been joined by Paul Wilkinson. We're still awaiting the arrival of the former Borough skipper, Tony Mowbray. He's making his way along the gantry to us now. But Paul, you've been out there, you've been with the players as well. Are they being affected really by this kind of atmosphere out there?
No, I think, you know, the lads, they came in early on, you know, because we knew it was going to be a big crowd, and, you know, they've all had the changing room door locked, tried to concentrate and keeping their minds on the game, which is the main thing for them today.
It's going to be so hard to do that, isn't it, then?
Yeah, I mean, everybody knew it was going to be a gala day, and it was difficult to choose between one or the other, really, keeping the lads happy or the fans. And obviously, it's the fans' big day, but also it's a great day for us. After the results yesterday, if we can get the result, then it'll be great.
Of course, yeah, because, I mean, Bolton losing was a great thing for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've been great the last 3 or 4 weeks, you know, things have gone for us, and if anybody that said we'd have had 3 draws and stretched our lead over the last 3 weeks, we'd have taken it.
There's Brian Robson there out on the pitch. He's involved himself this afternoon, which must give everyone a great lift.
Yeah, I mean, we've missed the gaffer over the last couple of weeks, and obviously, you know, he holds the midfield for us and keeps us strong in there, and, you know, the lads look forward to him being back in there today.
Great stuff. OK, well, we can take a look ahead to the game now. Of course, Luton were the team that inflicted Borough's worst defeat of the season away at Kenilworth Road. They lost 5-1. And really, Paul, that was a big upset at the time.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for reminding me. I scored 2 own goals that day, so... No,
I shouldn't have really said that, should I? Well, we're probably going to show them as well, Paul. That's a problem.
No, yeah, there's one, I think.
Good header. But, I mean, you bounce back from these kind of games, and Luton really shouldn't pose too much of a problem this afternoon.
Well, I don't know about that. I think David Pleat's always been regarded as a bit of a party pooper, so, you know, hopefully we can go out with the right attitude. I think it's all down to what we're going to do today, and the lads are determined enough, they know what they've got to do.
And really, I mean, the strength of the side now with Brian Robson back in, and as Mr. Mowbray now makes his way into the seat, we're actually, it's in a good position this afternoon to do well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, obviously it releases Jamie a bit for his great strength of running on beyond defences, and it gives us an extra dimension.
Afternoon, Tony. Don't say anything yet because your microphone isn't on, but we'll get that sorted out in a very big moment. But now we're going to take a look down at the results from yesterday, which is the last two results have really, for Borough, gone in their way. Bolton have made a right hash of it. Let's take a look at the action from yesterday, which has helped them out so much.
Bolton's latest slip-up came in the Lancashire derby at Boundary Park, where 2 goals in 2 minutes from Sean McCarthy put Oldham into a commanding lead midway through the first half. Bolton fought back to reduce the deficit with a John McGinley header, but Wanderers couldn't manage a share of the points. They hit the bar and twice had efforts cleared off the line, but Oldham had the final word. Paul Ricker's first goal for Athletic made it 3-1 at the end. Bolton are third in the table. Reading's best ever season reached new heights yesterday. They jumped into second place with a 2-1 win at Bristol City. Goals from Stuart Lovell and Lee Nogan clinched the points. City were already relegated, and a late strike by Brian Tinnion was no consolation for the fans at Ashton Gate. Wolverhampton are fourth after picking up a single point on their trip to Grimsby. Don Goodman thought it earned all 3. But Steve Bull was offside, so no goals at Blundell Park. Finally, the Yorkshire derby at Oakwell went in Barnsley's favour. When Andy Payton's shot was blocked by Alan Kelly, Brendan O'Connell was there to put them in front against Sheffield United. A Paul Rogers header levelled the scores at the break, but O'Connell's second of the match regained the points. 2-1, Barnsley are just outside the playoff zone, but could still make the top 5.
So it's all set up. Tony, welcome to the show. You've been out there taking the applause of the fans. What was it like?
It's a very, very special day. I think the weather helps as well. Everyone's got their T-shirts on and all the faces are painted, and everyone's expecting big things. I hope the boys do the business on the park, and it should be one big party.
You always wore your heart on your sleeve. I mean, a Borough lad through and through. It's always obviously the first result you still look for.
Yes, very much so. As soon as I get in the dressing room, I ask one of the apprentices to rush out and see what the teletext says for the score. Means a lot to me, obviously, and born and bred here on Teesside, and I'd be delighted if they get the result today, which will go a long way to seeing them up in the Premiership.
OK, thanks for the moment, lads. Of course, it's the new era coming up at Middlesbrough's club's history. We've been taking a look at the new plans for the new stadium, £16 million on the banks of the River Tees. We're about to hear what it's going to be called, but let's take a look at what actually that new stadium is all about. A fantastic amount of effort's gone in there. They assure me it will be ready for the start of next season. Let's take a look at what's been going on there.
Middlesbrough will see in next season and the next millennium in a state-of-the-art stadium at Middlehaven on the banks of the Tees. In a distinct horseshoe design, 32,000 will be the capacity and £16 million is the cost of the largest new ground in the country. Work began last October. Brian Robson and George Hardwick presided over the groundbreaking ceremony. Then in stepped Taylor Woodrow Construction. Their task to build from scratch a stadium fit for the Premiership in less than 10 months. Borough's fans have flocked to the visitor centre, making regular checks on the ground's progress. The 132-acre site provided by the Teesside Development Corporation has been transformed, and Borough are well on the way to having a new home, boasting some of the best equipped facilities at any football ground in Britain.
So a fantastic new stadium awaits Middlesbrough next season, and now the time has arrived to find out the name of the new stadium. The 4 contenders: the Ayresome Stadium, Middlehaven Stadium, Teesside Stadium, or the Riverside Stadium. Which did you vote for? Well, we'll find out now. Here's over to Mark Page with a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown, and the former players will rip the envelope away.
Thank you, Ian. Here we go with the naming of the new stadium. The ex-players are ready to tear off the squares here and reveal the name in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! The winning goes Riverside Stadium. Riverside Stadium.
So there it is, the new name of the new stadium is the Riverside Stadium after a fans vote. Keith Lamb is here with me now, the Chief Executive. Keith, was that your vote?
It wasn't my personal choice, but it was the democratic choice of the fans, and I'm absolutely delighted with the name. I only hope that it's going to give us all the success that the fans deserve. You've seen today, it's a super day for the fans, and I hope that the new Riverside Stadium will be the start of a very successful period for the borough.
I'm sure it will be. Hopefully your first game there, of course, will be in the Premiership next season.
I hope so. Everybody hopes so. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
OK, so the Riverside Stadium it is. I think that was pretty well received up here, boys, yes?
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's a nice name.
Not Ayresome. That was a really weird one. I'll tell you what, we're going to celebrate the announcement in style this afternoon because a local soprano, Susanna Clark, from Middlesbrough, she's been a supporter all her life, is going to sing We'll Never Walk Alone. And here she is, Susanna Clark. Some of the most emotional scenes you will ever see in a football ground. Ayresome Park has been here for 92 years, but it's never seen anything quite like that. Susanna Clark, the soprano from Middlesbrough, leading the chorus of the Borough fans. The Holgate End had their own version, I think. They were playing their own game at that particular time. Well done, Susanna, for keeping on course with that one. With me this afternoon watching this game, Middlesbrough against Luton, are Paul Wilkinson and Tony Mowbray. Lump in the throat time, isn't it, Tony?
Oh, very much so, very much so. As I say, it means so much to these people. They've been here, seen thick and thin over the years, good times and bad, and it's all coming to an end at Ayresome Park, but a new era, and hopefully they can go on to bigger and better things at the new stadium, at the Riverside Stadium. hopefully up there competing with the Manchester United in a few years.
Well, Paul, one of the things that we've picked up as we've gone around over the last few weeks as well, that people think that Ayresome Park, it's right to move on. It's the start of a new era from Brian Robson, and things have got to progress, and nobody wanted to call it New Ayresome Park, the new stadium, or anything like that. It's time to move on.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think people have been coming here for a lot of years now, and obviously it'll be a very emotional day for a lot of people. But football stadium throughout the world's going in a different dimension now, and you know, stands and grounds are going up all over the place. I think it's the right time for the club to move and hopefully go on to bigger and better things.
OK, Tony, let's turn our attention to the game this afternoon. It's going to be hard. I talked to Paul before you came in that the players have got to get their minds on the game now. That's going to be the toughest thing, isn't it?
Yes, it probably is. I go back to 1988 when we were in a very similar situation. Leicester City were here, David Pleat was the manager. It was a similar type of day, the weather was hot. We were expecting to turn up in the wind, but it didn't turn out that way. But as you say, it's all attitude and focus. Being focused is a words that are spoken a lot in sport today, and it's so true today. The players have got a job to do, and they've got to get out there and do it.
Paul, a lot of things going to be talked about as well as goals, because it's so tight at the top there with the point situation. But goals could be all crucial. Do you think the instruction, you may know, you've been in there with the lads, has the instruction gone out to get the goals this afternoon?
Well, I mean, the main thing is that we try and get the result first goal and foremost. But as I say, any more goals that we can get is a bonus for us. And to say with things so tight at the top of the league, you know, we're going to be looking for goals especially.
Your chances have been limited recently, but obviously you'd have been delighted to be out there.
I think anybody would. I know Tony would have as well. You know, you play for a club and you don't get many days like this throughout your career, and it would have been a great day to be out there.
So, Tony, a quick prediction about this afternoon.
Yeah, I think they'll come out and they know what's expected. They know what they've got to do. It's too important to fail. I think they'll get a result. 2-0 to Middlesbrough. OK, thanks very much for joining us so far, lads. We'll sit back and enjoy the match now, and we can go a few yards along the gantry here at Ayresome Park and join our commentary team for this afternoon. It's David Mills, who we've been hearing a lot from so far. But first, here's Roger Tames.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be with you. What a fantastic show we've had already this afternoon. It's been a pleasure to just sit here and enjoy the sights and the sounds. It's been a unique day celebrating Borough's past, but from now on, this afternoon is all about the future. Can Brian Robson complete a magnificent start in football management by leading Borough into a new league as well as a new stadium? We've had a superb hors d'oeuvre. Now it's time for the main course. And what a fantastic reception. These supporters have been wound up all afternoon. They've been here an hour and a half, most of them, waiting to get their heroes onto the field. Great scenes and everything to play for. The manager's presence on the pitch is absolutely vital, of course. Robson's recurring calf problem has confined him to the dugout for the last 4 games, but his drive and inspirational qualities never more needed. In fact, it's a full-strength Borough side, with the exception of Robbie Mustoe, who's still out. Defence is back to normal, with skipper Nigel Pearson recovered from concussion, and Derek White back from suspension. Assistant manager Viv Anderson and Chris Morris stand down. Graham Kavanagh loses out to the manager. 2 strikers on the bench, Fuchs and Moreno. Attack, the name of the game. Well, after a stream of famous Borough old boys, one of their lesser-known ex-players, Dwight Marshall, will be looking to haunt them. The Luton striker had 3 games as a substitute when on loan from Plymouth in Borough's last Premiership season. Marshall hit a couple of goals when Luton handed out Borough's biggest defeat of the season, 5-1 at Kenilworth Road in October. They've been facing a goalkeeper crisis. Jürgen Sommer is suspended, and 18-year-old Kelvin Davis has been struggling with a stomach muscle injury, but manager David Pleat will be delighted the young keeper has pulled through. Mitchell Thomas is only a substitute. He's had a hamstring problem, so there's a recall for Richard Harvey, and at right back, Des Linton is preferred to David Green. Jan Arga Fjortoft, 2 goals in the last 2 games. The sort of player who relishes the spotlight, scored as well for Norway on international duty against Luxembourg in midweek. He'll be raring to put on a show. Must be one of the youngest mascots there. Nigel Pearson, the skipper, has got. Referee today is Paul Vaines from Worley, taking charge at Ayresome Park for the first time and in his last weeks on the league list. He too delighted to be at this special occasion. Well, David Mills has come up alongside me in the commentary box. He's been playing Spot the Player down the years for us earlier. A fantastic day, but it all counts for nothing. The real stuff starts now, isn't it?
That's right. We've had part one, this is part two, and this is the most important issue. Quite rightly, all the older players have had the accolades, and the current squad of players have come out to tremendous reception here, and quite rightly so. I suppose it's at this time when you feel a little bit of sympathy for the likes of Robbie Mustoe and Curtis Fleming, who haven't figured in their celebrations so far this afternoon. But if Middlesbrough get the right result, then I'm sure the party will go on, and it is important.
So the scheduled last league game at Ayresome Park is underway, and Borough fans hoping so much they do not have to return here for the agony and perhaps the ecstasy of the playoffs. The destiny in their own hands. Win the last two games today and at Tranmere next Sunday, and they're up, they're champions. They've only won the Division 2, as it were, Championship 3 times, 27, 29, and that famous 74 team, which the man alongside me knows all about. And how they love to sign off from Ayresome Park with genuine silverware. Luton Town, according to their manager David Pleat, have gone to sleep since they reached 51 points, which he considered a safety margin. They're without an away win so far this year in the league, but they have won 7 and drawn 7 and lost 8, which is not a bad away record. They're 16th in the division, 13 points clear of the relegation cut-off, and that represents a comfortable position indeed for them. They'll be relaxed, they'll be looking to enjoy the occasion, and they'll be looking to spoil the party. For Borough, the start so important. Alan Miller, who's been a rock himself, lifting that one forward. Luton, very much a team who can really play if you let them, and I'm sure Borough will be swarming all over the midfield to try and compress the game, keep Luton back in their place and really get a grip on this last league fixture after 92 years of football. Alan Moore, one of the youngsters out there today. Leonardo Fjortoft not bothering to chase that one, which the experienced Trevor Peake booted clear. The players will be so pleased to just get this game underway. But that's Gary Waddock being challenged there by Jamie Pollock illegally. There'll be plenty of that out there, one suspects.
Yes, it'll be very competitive, and that's only to be expected. There's a lot at stake, particularly for Middlesbrough, but Luton will come and play, and Middlesbrough might quite enjoy that. They always seem to prefer to play against a side that allows them to play as well. But as you quite rightly said, Robson and Pollock in particular will be biting in midfield.
One turned on first time by Scott Oakes, not with any great sense of direction. Scored that second goal that knocked Newcastle out of the cup last season, when David Pleat's team really showed what they can do on their day. As the saying goes, they just don't have enough days. Alan Miller was not in goal when Borough conceded 5 at Kenilworth Road. Peake ready to attack this one, and not particularly challenged there by Fjortoft. White or Moore. Quick challenge in from Paul Telfer. It's a Borough ball. Derek White, back after suspension with the throw-in. Cut out by Linton. Moore's picked it up though. Here's John Hendry. Square for Robson, who got a bit tangled up, and Waddock took the ball off him. Pollock. Vickers. Pearson for Cox. Pollock. Fjortoft having a bit of a wrestling match with Marvin Johnson. That'll be a physical scrap. And certainly Fjortoft enjoys backing into defenders and really letting them know he's around. Cox poised with the free kick. Fjortoft just pointing as to where he'd like it. Peake's picking him up at the moment. It's pulled out back, and Alan Moore has to check to try and keep it going. White made too much of that free kick, to be honest.
Well, I don't think it was intended, that's for sure. Brian Robson was signalling to drop it into Fjortoft. There was space there, and I'm sure that Neil Cox pulled that one way behind where he intended it to go.
That's the sign of an understandable touch of nerves. They're looking to generate some pace and some zip pretty quickly, which is a style that Middlesbrough are more comfortable with. Pearson playing that one up towards our gantry. Pearson, who had concussion, missed 10 weeks in September through to November. The skipper back there today. It's Marshall. And that's Pollock hooking it forward. Hendry and Peak. Fjortoft just dropped off a little bit. That's a nice little touch. And a really great ball to Alan Moore. Just couldn't bring it down, but Fjortoft knew exactly what he wanted to do with that one. And he knew that Moore would give him an option. That was good thinking from Fjortoft. Moore couldn't quite capitalise.
Well, when he flicks it up here, it's a great left-footed volley across the field, spreading the play. Alan Moore takes it well, knocks it in front of him, just slips slightly then, probably just takes it to one side rather than straight ahead of him on his left-hand side. But I must admit, when Fjortoft first flicked it up, I thought, well, he'll just play a little simple ball into Robson here, and he unleashed that left-foot volley there, which certainly opened the play.
Not exactly a shrinking violet, Fjortoft. He likes to put on a show. Very self-possessed international footballer. Miller will get some real distance on this. The pitch, considering the wear it's had, is in excellent condition. Here's Hendry now, giving it a chase. Hendry's got away. Penalty, is it? No, referee waved play on. Mr. Baines looked as though he was checking across to the linesman. Boos from the crowd there. Definitely inside. I thought for a moment he might be checking to make sure the tackle was actually inside.
Well, Hendry gets through here from the long kick. It's knocked down. Eventually Robson competes for it. It's knocked forward, and Hendry, through sheer persistence, gets goal side. I thought he was looking for the tackle. I thought he could have gone on there, but it looked as though he got his heels clipped. The only thing against it was he didn't get too much of a reaction from the Middlesbrough players. The referee certainly wasn't going to give a penalty, and the linesman, he looked across to the linesman to get some advice and consideration, and the linesman just gave no indication whatsoever, so obviously the referee didn't give that. But I just felt that Hendry may have taken that on himself. I think once you're in that position, you've got to go for goal.
Fjortoft again had Peak right there with him. That break from Scott Oates not really producing anything. Peak cuts it out. Linesman David Rigg is really on the business on the pitch again, watering it quite heavily up to about 3/4 of an hour before kick-off. It's a surface he'd like to see recreated at the new Riverside Stadium. That was played in towards David Preece. He couldn't really take it in his run. David Preece, 31, longest serving player, approaching 400 first-team games for Luton Town and 10 years of service.
Well, I must admit, Roger, I've got a confession to make, because although I couldn't walk around with the players when they were introduced, I did actually have a sneak across the pitch when it was very quiet on my way up here into the gantry, and the pitch is in marvellous condition. It's flat, it's very wet, and the ball will zip around, and it's in super condition considering we're just about into April.
Borough have got a free kick now. The manager standing over it alongside Jamie Pollock. Robson making sure that delivery for this one is as required. Pearson is up there as well. Robson just clipping it forward. Waddock got a boot to it. Good work, typical work by Pollock. Now Cox into the middle there. Away by John Taylor, who'd come back to defend. Well, that one skipped through to Dwight Marshall. Now Marshall being challenged there all the way by White. and that is quite inspirational defending. Superbly read by White. Talk about determination to win that one. White Marshall really proving Middlesbrough's undoing again. Heartbeats a little higher than normal, you think, out there, David?
Just a little bit, I think, yeah. A little bit of tension and anxiousness, but I mean, in fairness, that was an absolutely magnificent recovery from Derek White. I mean, super tackle.
But now it's Hendry. Hendry looking for the cross. Fjortoft is there, brings it down. Fjortoft into the middle. Oh, Pollock needed a touch, and it just ran on. And Priest can get it away. Fjortoft looking to lay the chance on a plate. Borough couldn't cash in. Fjortoft, though, causing problems. Robson turning into that one. That was Pollock. Mr. Vaines pulling that one back. Real chance, though, David.
Yeah, John Hendry crossing to the far post. Fjortoft doing well, controlling it well with the outside of his right foot, sensibly cutting the ball back. And then Pollock, I think, thought somebody was coming in behind him and decided to leave it when he might have been as well just having a flash at it.
There's Robson back again with that bit of cover. Blackmore, Hendry, lifting it forward to Fjortoft, just checking the bounce of that ball. Cox trying to get it over the back of Des Linton, which was asking a lot. 50-60 yard crossfield pass. Gary Waddock. Calmly played by Vickers. And White forward. There's a few steady defenders who've worn Borough shirts down the years sitting in the stands today. They would all have been applauding that little bit of defensive work by Derek White. Now Hendry. Hendry didn't take the ball with him. Linton tidies up. Looking for Telfer. Fjortoft again bringing it down and knocking it through very intelligently indeed for Alan Moore. Blackmore is in the middle as well. They've got a deflection and that's a corner. Fjortoft really thinking and really distributing the ball very imaginatively. Moore making his way to the centre. Now Blackmore is another corner kick specialist, and they're all forward. Fjortoft right in there, didn't reach Pearson. It was Luton Town's number 9, John Taylor, who knocked it away. Taylor right back there trying to get goal side of Pearson. Looking for the near post knock-on. Blackmore again. We've got it there, off the line. It was Robson's header. Robson so close to giving Borough the lead. Richard Harvey was the defender, along with Waddock on the line. Borough really going close there.
Well, the corner comes across here. Pearson gets the flick on and Robson attacking the ball. Has to make contact from a standing jump.
Well, Cox bursting through there. Just leave that replay maybe for a little later with Borough pouring forward now. This is Alan Moore. Moore can't get through two of them. Borough really getting up ahead of steam. Blackmore's corner kicks then proving a real threat to Luton. Middlesbrough settling rather more and starting to cause one or two problems. Vickers crowded out there. This is John Taylor. Taylor looking to have a go himself, perhaps. Vickers in with a challenge. Taylor trying to turn again, did well to find Telfer. Marshall tries to turn. Again, excellent defending, this time by Pearson. White, Vickers, that's a defence that's really built up an understanding there. Forward now for Fjortoft. And Fjortoft again looking to release Moore, who was checked there by Linton. Moore really scrapping for it. Peak the defending, but here's Hendry! Hendry! And the keeper, young Kelvin Davis, stood his ground and blocked. Hendry nearly in there.
Well, they've had a couple of half chances, haven't they, Middlesbrough? Alan Moore doing well there, battling, forcing the defender into the back pass. Hendry onto it quickly. I thought Hendry might just have dropped the shoulder and taken it round him there, rather than playing it, trying to play past the keeper. He was very close to the keeper, but the keeper did well, stood his ground and made himself big.
That's offside. But Kelvin Davis, who was doubtful before this game, who's taken his chances in opposition to Jürgen Sommer, and doing the job there. Play stopped for a spot of treatment to Jamie Pollock in the middle. With Anderson, the man who runs the bench, as they say in basketball terms. The man who gives too much away. Rather like his defending style. Tommy Moreno, one of the substitutes today. Just have a look at that earlier incident. It's the penalty that never was. Let's have a look at it again with Hendry and central defender Marvin Johnson.
Well, Hendry gets clear here, and in fairness, the boy falls. Looking at that, it wasn't a penalty, I don't think, Roger. I think that John was looking for a penalty then and really should have been a little bit more positive. And once he'd felt the fella drop off his shoulder, should have been positive and aggressive and gone for goal.
Peak. We've had 15 minutes, still no goals yet. Middlesbrough 0, Luton Town 0. Last league game at Ayresome Park. Well, started their time here with a defeat, looking to end it with a victory. Only lost 4 at home this season, Middlesbrough. Tranmere, Southend, Reading and Derby have come away with the points. Drawn the last 3 games 1-1, but comparatively they've kept their heads while others around have been losing theirs. And despite 3 points from 9, they've still maintained their position at the top of the table. Pearson lifting the free kick in. Fjortoft was really getting held there by Peak. Referee not interested, but didn't look too subtle to me, David.
Well, I think the problem the referee has got to decide when a player's actually backing in and leaning on a defender and when the defender's just standing his ground. And I think, in fairness to the defender, he just stood his ground there and wasn't going to be budged at all and just competed for the ball. Fjortoft's got to be careful that he doesn't just keep laying into defenders and playing for fouls all the time.
From Peake's point of view then, I think it was the arms that were up. He was always liable to maybe sway a referee, but Fjortoft, as we said earlier, likes to back into defenders, he likes to rock and roll them a bit, and so too does John Hendry, which is good play. Nothing wrong with that if you're facing your own goal.
I think from Peake's point of view and the defender's point of view in general, if you put your arms out to the side, at least you're indicating that you're not pushing the attacking player in the back.
Robson looking for his second goal for Borough and at Ayresome Park. Slight problem there to Brian Robson. Scored a terrific goal live against Port Vale, you might remember, in the Tyne-Tees match.
You just get, sorry, Roger. I was just going to say, you just get a feeling that Middlesbrough might cause Luton problems from set pieces, corners in particular, when you look at the physical presence that they have around the side with Vickers and Pearson and Robson and Fjortoft.
Again, Fjortoft backing in, and this time he gets his free kick. It's Marvin Johnson who's penalised. This is a really useful position as well. Fjortoft may well work on the principle that the more you're in there challenging, you're going to get one or two go your way. And he really has looked a handful. Goal scoring speaks for itself. Robson is there, Blackmore is there, Cox, Moore will have a go. Moore looks as though he fancies it, or it could be Blackmore. Well held, Kelvin Davis. Blackmore drifting it in there, getting it on target, maybe not quite the punch that it might have needed to really fly past the keeper.
Well, it was well struck, cleanly struck, but it's got a curve on it, and it's going away from the goalkeeper all the time, and the goalkeeper's dived and caught that comfortably. It probably needed a little bit more whip and dip on it, and probably needed to start off a little bit more central.
Linton knocking it upfield towards Taylor, but Vickers was always going to make that one his. Predictably, the game will always have a nervous edge until we get a decisive goal, which would settle down Borough if they're the ones who take it. But if it's Luton who break and find a way through, then you can really expect the nerve ends to jangle. Henry would have been caught well offside then had Pollock decided to release it. Fast to forge another striking partnership, this time with Fjortoft. Paul Wilkinson, of course, for so long his partner. Our guest in our studio here today. He's played with Fuchs as well. Now he's with Fjortoft. Peak. Two of his back passes have erred on the side of dodgy, I'd have thought. That's not through first time. Pearson. Very much of the safety first school of thought. Nigel Pearson. Richard Harvey there, making an excursion forward. Taylor was the target he might have been looking for. Nod there from Hendry to Fjortoft. Blackmore did well to get a little header on that one and find Pollock. Too much pressure on Blackmore to kick out a man with the ball forward. Marshall there, looking for Taylor. Vickers tidily back for Miller. One touch to control it, one more to knock it wide. Cox just waiting and drawing the foul from David Priest.
Well, a little bit dangerous here. In fairness to Priest, he's made a genuine attempt to win the ball there. He's fouled Cox, but I mean, you're going to get that in situations like that. A little bit of determination. Tried to just get on the inside of the fullback and intercept the pass. Fortunately, the referee had a little bit of common sense there and didn't consider a yellow card.
Halfway through this first half, still no goals. Watching the Tyne Tees match live. And Fjortoft caught offside there. Moore lifting it forward. Always a target there for the wide men, particularly Alan Moore, who likes to have someone to work off ahead of him. And Fjortoft looking as though he's always aware that Moore could be brought in. Marshall trying to get through there. Taylor had a fly at that one, but scuffed it rather. Signed on the transfer deadline day from Bradford for a couple of 100,000. Experienced striker. Hendry trying to get there again. Harvey. Just 18, Kelvin Davis from Bedford. Local lad. Vickers right there on Marshall. Taylor couldn't reach that one. Pearson just playing it wide for Cox. Looking around for where Priest might be. Again, you can sense they really want to make sure they don't make an unnecessary error by being a little too ambitious in their football. Fine balance. Anderson and Robson in midweek stressing this is a game they really must not lose at any cost. Although everyone in the packed house here today willing them and expecting them to drive forward for the win. It's the defeat that would really be the body blow. Marshall. Another terrific challenge there from Nigel Pearson. He hadn't played for a year when he moved to Middlesbrough. Twice had broken his leg. Thought it might have been a gamble. It's been nothing like that. It's been a rock. And it's Luton who've got the corner kick now. Johnson is up there as well, wanting to get there to it. Good defending. And again, it was Pearson. Peak for Harvey. Harvey trying to clip it in first time. Linesman on the far side in a good position. Flag up. End of concern for this attack for Middlesbrough. Plenty of distance on that. Peak underneath it. Pollock forward. Moore, that one might have gone through to Hendry, actually. Now it does, but he's offside. Holding quite a straight line at the back, Luton, David, which is all well and good, but it's there to be sprung if Hendry and Fjortov can just get their timing right.
That's dead right. I think we've seen it on a couple of occasions already. Both Peake and Johnson have been caught on a couple of occasions, and it's encouraging for forward players and midfield players to get the ball in those areas.
But Moore's picked up this loose one. Pollock. Fjortoft in the middle, Pollock steaming through as normal. Even his determination couldn't get anything out of that move.
Good move from Middlesbrough. Good little ball, slid down the outside from Alan Moore. Pollock just allowing it to run inside him and then just can't get a contact on it. Just trying to poke it with the outside of his right foot, just in the wrong stride.
Injury in midfield, meanwhile, as to David Preece. Delay here for further treatment. Vickers there with John Taylor. Too much casual conversation by the looks of it. Shouldn't forget either, David, it's a warm old afternoon, and not used to that recently.
No,
last week sat in an absolute monsoon at Sunderland, and now we've got brilliant sunshine shirt sleeves.
It's definitely cricket weather.
It's Borough really looking for a good score here. And it's Cox in possession. Forward for Hendry. Couldn't get the touch on it. He's pressurising still. Peake. Trevor Peake's a wily old character. He's a senior player out there, 38, and Hendry, a youngster at 31, prepared to give him a hard time. And that diligent running has at least produced a corner kick. Borough looking for the breakthrough again. Away by Linton. Same again for the Borough. Another corner then. Robson wanted to get there. The straight run to it was blocked by the defender. Scott Oakes is right back there. Got it back again. Robson clipping it through. Harvey away. Pearson tried to block it. Hendry competing for it. Cox can't get there. White, Mr. Dependable. Pollock scrapping. So too Harvey. Taylor and Pollock. And Pearson now. Cox and Blackmore to Pollock. Forward for Fjortov to chase Peak with a good look at it and finds touch. FA Cup winner with Coventry, of course, back in 1987. A really experienced player, guiding hand with some young potential at Luton. Pollock. Blackmore, it's a disappointing ball forward, but I was just about to say there's a sense of getting on with the job now about Middlesbrough. They've gone through the game and they're starting to get into it. David Pleat, you can just see up the top there, man who inspired Leicester to ruin Borough's automatic promotion when Pleat was manager at Leicester. Borough went down on the last day of the season, 2-1 at home, and had to go a long way round, successful as it turned out via the playoffs. So David Pleat has got a little bit of an Indian sign perhaps over Middlesbrough. He's a very experienced manager, and Luton certainly have approached this game in the way he would have wanted. Priest knocking it in there. Pollock watching it all the way into the head, and Moore's got a bit of space now. White steaming on the left, waiting to spring the offside trap. Robson trying to go all the way, appealing for the free kick, and they'll get it now. Peak in trouble. Moore brought down. It was nearly a terrific break.
Good run here from Alan Moore. Makes his mind up that he's going to be positive, he's going to be aggressive. Runs and runs, and then all of a sudden he ducks inside. Plays it between the two defenders, and Peak comes across and just takes him out across the front there. But I think that's what they have to do, particularly the likes of Alan Moore and John Hendry. They've got to isolate defenders, particularly players like Trevor Peak, who, as you quite rightly say, he's 38. He's not going to get any quicker. They've got to try and get a 1v1 situation, and as I say, isolate him and get at him.
Robson with a free kick in there. Vickers was moving in on it. Just to confirm, Peak, of course, was given the yellow card there. And a booking always something that can gnaw away at the back of a defender's mind, especially when there's been a fair bit of bumping and barging with Fjortoft in particular, who was alongside him there. And just something for him to think about, the Luton skipper. Pearson, a powerful jump there. Peak quite reading it as well, but still knocking it on a bit. Cox, Harvey, Pearson, Fjortoft, and Peak there again. Fjortoft ready to bring it down whenever he can. Cut out by Robson, taken on by Moore, and Fjortoft squeezing it through to Alan Moore. Alan Moore on a break here. Hendry in the middle, trying to get it through to Robson, but Luton close ranks. You can just see when they get away that Alan Moore can cause real problems. But now the break is on. Forward now for Marshall, who's chasing it. Harvey down. Back for Waddock. Good break mounted now by Luton. Robson trying to get a foot in then and went flying. Paul Telfer has held it up a bit, and that's given Borough time to regroup. And the ball forward by Linton is of no great purpose for Luton Town.
They've just got to be careful that they don't lose concentration at the back, Middlesbrough. Marshall's just pulling in behind the front player, behind Taylor, making these little runs into spaces, in behind people, and Middlesbrough have got to make sure that they track the runner. That's the only danger Luton have at the moment.
David Priest. And Richard Harvey. Good ball knocked forward. Forward there by Blackmore. Fjortoft. Fjortoft still going. Hendry wants it. Great ball out wide to Moore. Hendry and Fjortoft in the middle. Moore had a bit of a flyer at that one. Trying to bray the cross in perhaps. Now he's got another chance to deliver it better. Moore off for the corner kick. Pollock just leaving it out wide. Blackmore will go across there. Big men all coming back, and that includes the number 9, John Taylor, adding considerable height to the defence, which is not exactly giant-sized. Pearson, Vickers, all up there. Blackmore's corner towards Pearson. He got a knock on there. Fjortoft to scrap forward the line again. And it was Robson in there once more. They got a penalty. It's a penalty to Middlesbrough. Sort out what happened.
Well, the ball comes across again. Pearson gets the flick. Good header back by Fjortoft. The head's going. It's kicked off the line. It happened so quickly. It's headed back in again. I honestly didn't see the handball. It was very, very insignificant. In fact, I think everybody's missed it.
A little pat on the cheek there. I don't know whether that offence happened when Robson was in there challenging. I don't think so. It came out again. Real pressure, though, on Neil Cox with the penalty. Cox for 1-0. Good save! The follow-up, and Kelvin Davis denies Borough, and still they're looking for a breakthrough. The teenage keeper pulling out the stops. Cox, real disappointment.
Well, it's not the best strictly shot, is it? It's hit it, the keeper's read it well, made a good save, and they've lived again, Luton, haven't they? Managed to scramble a rebound away as well, but not the best of strikes. He'll be disappointed, Neil Cox, with that, I'm sure.
Well, Luton may be thinking that was poetic justice, but hits White now. White into the middle of Robson, and Robson put it wide now. He cannot believe it. Robson could have had a hat-trick. He's arrived so perfectly in typical style.
Well, this is Robson, isn't it? He picks his spot, just tries to side-foot it past the keeper. Unfortunately, he's just got underneath the ball. I think it's taken a little bobble there, in fairness. It is quite uneven there around that central position. Probably the worst areas on the pitch, but by Brian's standards, you could see from his reaction that he was desperately annoyed that he hadn't took that one away. But again, a great opportunity.
Well, real drama developing here. Robson first denied on the line, then a questionable penalty, which Neil Cox sees saved, and Robson bursting through again and just pushing his effort wide of the post. And Borough will be thinking they've got to start taking these chances. Luton perhaps will be thinking the charmed life could be theirs. Anxiety, concern, over-trying, frustration, all mental attitudes that can undermine a team. But Borough are boiling at the moment and really pouring in on Luton, but it just won't go in for them.
They've just got to make sure that they don't force the issue too much. They've got to be patient. There's plenty of time left. They haven't got to get it in their minds that it's going to be one of those days when things aren't going to go for them. They've just got to concentrate, keep playing the way they are, keep getting the ball in the box and attacking players.
Flags down, though, as Priest bursts through, and Miller forced to pull out the save. That's always the warning. The push forward, and think about the attacks, and then Luton, who can play their football, break and cause something.
Well, it's little Priest here making the run from the left-hand side, does well, strikes it well with his right foot, which isn't his best foot, thankfully, in that position. And Alan Miller there made a good save, although it was going to be a spectacular shot from that angle and that distance to beat Alan Miller.
There appeals to the offside then. Corner taken short. Square for Harvey. Thought about blasting it, may still do. Plays it out wide again. Away solidly by Robson. Towards Taylor. Pearson there. Priest picks up the loose ball and keeps control and knocks it square for Telfer. Miller right behind that one. Good technique, down on his knees, the whole body behind it. Good fielding, cricket style. Bowled out as well to Clayton Blackmore. The run from Hendry. Fjortoft in the middle. Plenty of white shirts there, though. Back for Pollock. Fjortoft wants it played in. Good first touch. Fjortoft the turn. And Davis didn't quite gather that so cleanly. But what a good take. And what a quick turning shot there from Jan-Åge Fjortoft.
Good ball in here, does well, controls it first time on the half turn, gets his shot in well here. I don't think he was aware that Alan Moore was supporting on that left-hand side in acres of space. He could have possibly, if he'd seen him, been able to turn that across with his left foot, but he elected to turn and shoot.
Vickers away. Pollock Robson. Cut out there by the backside of Scott Oakes. Harvey will have to motor a bit for that one. Forward by Johnson. Vickers underneath it. Luton just having a spell of midfield possession themselves now after being right under the cosh. Maybe thinking we've seen that off, we've lived on the edge and survived. Now let's just see what condition Borough's resolve, organisation and composure is in. Well, to be fair, the forwards for Luton have got very little change indeed out of a very determined Middlesbrough defence led by that man Nigel Pearson. Throw in to Middlesbrough, to Luton rather. Priest knocking it in. Quick return ball, not really good enough. And Cox gets the free kick. 5 minutes to go to half-time. Middlesbrough 0, Luton Town 0. Quite how, I'm not really sure. Robson, by his standards, maybe thinking he should have had a hat-trick. And Neil Cox, of course, will be thinking he should have converted that penalty. And through it all, Viv Anderson keeps poker-faced. Not easily in the circumstances, I'm sure. Hendry, the touchdown. Fjortoft caught up then in and around Scott Oakes. Waddock, robbed by Pollock. Moore, in for Fjortoft, the first-time ball again. Moore, and Moore wants to keep on running because Fjortoft is always looking for that first-time layoff, always looking to bring other players in. Easily cut out then by Telfer. Still going now with Scott Oakes. Telfer had to check. Waddock. Blackmore got a foot in. White back for Vickers. Now Priest. Taylor making a movement ahead of him. Harvey now supporting from the left-back position. Turned in, though. First touch needed to be a little bit better then. It's back for Harvey. Luton still coming forward. Priest looks up, hits it square. Oakes looking for something out of the ordinary. Settling, though, for a corner kick.
They're just looking a little bit ragged now, Middlesbrough. They've just lost the shape a little bit. They've just got to get the ball and knock the ball around a little bit and retain possession. They're giving it away a little bit too often at the moment, and that's giving Luton encouragement, and they're putting a few passes together. They've realised they've lived dangerously. They've had the benefits of a penalty save, and they realise that they're still in this game.
Corner kick then to Luton Town. Taylor the main target. Miller pushed it. Flags up on the far side. See the linesman Colin Gordon coming on the pitch there and making sure he got a good position. Some news from the Hawthorns. West Brom have gone one up against Tranmere Rovers. Kevin Donovan, after 41 minutes, almost worth a goal here for Middlesbrough. If Tranmere are going to have a wobbly day, then Borough need to cash in even more. Again, it stresses the need to avoid defeat. At least the 1 point keeps the old scoreboard ticking over, just edges teams away, and I hope that Middlesbrough can leave them trailing. But remember, Bolton and Tranmere play again in midweek before it all comes down to next Sunday. It's conceivable, of course, that Middlesbrough can wrap it up in midweek without even playing, but we need the results to go in a particular combination. A win today would take Borough 5 points clear of Reading, 6 clear of Bolton, who have got 2 to play. Borough currently 4 points ahead of Tranmere. Over comes this free kick. Pearson with a header on. Hendry prepared to run for it. Hendry into the middle. Again, Luton getting plenty of bodies in the way when it really matters. Hendry making some good diagonal runs. He's going to try and take defenders with him. Create some room for Fjortoft and the midfield players, especially Robson, who've been quick to arrive. Blackmore with a corner kick. Again, the ball bobbling around. Again, it's hacked away. Marshall that time. Blackmore knocks it in. Keeper stayed where he was. Away to Moore. Moore can hit it on the left foot. Moore into the middle. Robson sliding in. Corner kick. Alan Moore, when he drifts out wide and opens up space onto that left foot, can really hit them. Robson, though, was in the middle, and he's really pushed on and got into advanced positions today. Borough corner to the last minute of the first half. Only half away. Hendry was challenging. Pearson scrapping as well. Hendry opening up room. And it's a goal! Middlesbrough have taken the lead. Hendry's shot, and Ayresome Park erupts right on the stroke of half-time. And Borough, who've been pushing and pushing, have got the breakthrough. John Hendry.
Well, Hendry does well here. Ball comes out to him, he runs across the goal, and it takes a deflection. His shot here deflects off Marshall, I think it is, back there in a defensive position. Unfortunate for Luton, unfortunate for the goalkeeper, but a little bit of good fortune for Middlesbrough, which is probably no more than they deserve, because they've not had the best of luck in situations earlier. Looping shot there over the top of the goalkeeper. John Hendry will be delighted with that, I'm sure.
John Hendry with just one goal in the previous 14 starts. This is 16th of the season. Got a deflection, but I'm sure there's no doubt Hendry will go into the record books on this last day as getting the breakthrough. 1-0 the Borough. And here comes Alan Moore. And Fjortoft, oh, what a chance! Fjortoft could have buried that one. He can't believe it. And Luton in danger of falling off the edge of the earth.
Well, there's not a great deal you can say about this. Alan Moore does really well there, heads it down, it bounces up, and Fjortoft, 9 times out of 10, would put those away. Gets over the ball, great ball across beyond the defender at the far post. Alan Moore looks as though he might take it on his chest. He elects to head it back across the face of the goal. Fjortoft just can't get over the top of it and keep it down.
Half-time whistle has gone. Borough are in charge thanks to John Hendry's goal just a minute before the whistle went. Got a deflection, and it comes at the end of a first half when Borough have threatened and threatened. Robson will feel he might have got a hat-trick himself. Cox missed a penalty, saved by young Kelvin Davis, but John Hendry has put Borough one up here at Ayresome Park.
Welcome back to the Tyne-Tees match, and welcome back to a sun-drenched Ayresome Park. Everything is now going their way. The Borough have taken the lead against Luton, and the latest news we have from Tranmere is that they're getting beaten by West Brom by 1-0, and they're already down to 10 men. Tony Mowbray and Paul Wilkinson are with me. We needed a goal there just before break, and we got it.
Yes, you bet. We start thinking they've had so many chances, it's not going in, penalty was saved, we're thinking, is it going to be our day sort of thing, and I think you said just a minute before we could do with the goal, and John got the shot on, got the deflection, and in it went. It's giving the players a buzz and take the anxiety out with the support for the second half.
Well, Paul, we can take a look at the first incident, which was another John Hendry incident, and this is when we thought he could have had a penalty, or should he? What do you reckon?
My first instinct, I thought it was a definite penalty, but having seen the replay, I think the guy actually catches him, and John wins the ball there and takes it on. And the lad falls over and actually catches him there with the... And then John falls maybe a bit too late to get a penalty.
Well, this is the penalty, Tony, and a bit of handball. We thought there were a couple of handballs in this.
Yeah, we were all up thinking the first one was a handball, but it's probably the second one was a bit more dodgy than the first, I think. But two incidents there, I mean, you give the penalty, I think.
You've taken a few penalties during the season. Were you surprised when Neil Cox actually stepped up to take it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Clayton would probably take it, or Jan, but there again, Coxey wanted to take it, and whoever on the day wants to take it takes the ball. And But, you know, the keeper's made a good save in the end. And that, you know, everybody thought he was going to get the rebound. The lads made a good tackle again.
Really, that put everybody on the edge of the seat, Tony, didn't it? It thought that was there, thought the goal was at mercy, and then all of a sudden, you know.
Yeah. But as I said earlier, I thought it was going to be one of those days. You have all the chances, and they're not going in. And you can, the longer it goes without a goal coming, the fans get anxious, and it transfers to the players on the park, and they become anxious. And you know, and you start thinking, Luton start knocking it about, and you start thinking, as I say, is it going to be our day? And that'll really settle everybody down.
What do you think we're in for now?
I think the lads have got to come out and be positive again. I mean, we showed them we were positive in the first half, that we can get through the back four of Luton, and then, you know, we had enough chances to maybe win 2 or 3 games in that half. But as I say, you know, we've got to make sure that at the back we keep everything tight. The lads back four this year have played exceptionally well, and I'm sure they're coming out for second half looking to keep a clean sheet.
Be sweet revenge as well, because you know, the Borough did get a turning over earlier in the season down at Kenilworth Road.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a strange result, because I mean, I'm watching today. I'm very impressed with the back line. They keep a good line and they attack the ball well. And today they're looking very solid. So, as Wilco says, if they can keep that clean sheet, there's the points in the bag.
OK, we can take a look at the goal now that has put them in front at half-time. John Hendry with the help of a little deflection, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, John does well here. The ball comes out to him and he takes a touch, just goes past the defender and shoots. And unfortunately, it's taken a wicked deflection off the lad, but I'm sure John will be claiming that one, and it was at least that we deserved, really.
And Robbo's had a good first half as well, Tony.
Yeah, we were talking about how he tackles, and he plays with so much passion, and it generates itself to everybody else on the park. When you see the manager getting about people like the way he does, it transmits to all the others, and there's Jamie alongside him who tackles very similar, and it's been a very good positive display.
OK, thanks for the moment, fellas. We're going to take a quick break now, but we've seen one great goal this afternoon. We're going to see some more now from over the years here at Ayresome Park. We'll see you again very soon.
Cochrane. Armstrong. That'll do. Ripley through the middle for a change. There goes Ripley. Did he go all the way? Luke. Ripley checks. Oh, that is an absolutely marvellous goal from Stuart Ripley. Armstrong there, so to is Mickey Burns. Armstrong. Dig it up for Burns. And what a fine goal!
And out wide is Ripley. Ripley now. Can he deliver the cross that'll really cause the problems? Baird's the target. Here comes Baird. Baird's off to a real flyer there. And it's lift off for the Borough.
Welcome back. Not long to go now until the second half. Middlesbrough 1, Luton 0 is the half-time score. Let's now go down to the pitch side and join Ian Payne.
Well, with me now, another former Ayresome Park favourite, now manager of Grimsby, Brian Laws. Brian, you've been enjoying the occasion and the first half.
Yes, it's been a very spectacular first half. Middlesbrough could have went in with 2 or 3 goals, but they've got to be very careful that don't get carried away with the occasion, because it can easily happen, especially, you know, the atmosphere is fantastic. But they've got to be very composed and keep their heads, and they've got a goal at a very critical time, and so they've gone in there with a little bit of lift that they needed for the second half. But they've got to remember also there's another team on the pitch, and they can cause an upset.
A lot to play for. Can you see Middlesbrough winning this league?
I can see Middlesbrough. I mean, it looks like teams are falling over themselves to give Middlesbrough, but they've still got to do it themselves, and there's no better start than today.
Thanks, Brian. Enjoy the second half.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to enjoy the second half in our studio above Ayresome Park. The teams are coming out for the second half. Let's rejoin our commentary team of David Mills, and first, Roger Taines.
Thanks very much, Duncan. Luton out first. Borough now joining them. John Hendry getting that vital goal, courtesy of Dwight Marshall, ironically the player who did spend 3 games as a substitute while he was on loan in a Borough shirt. I'm sure that breakthrough just before half-time has made a major difference to the conversation in the Borough dressing room, because they'd certainly flung everything at Luton, not got the breakthrough, and Hendry worked for his little bit of fortune, got an opening, had a go, and Borough then kick off the second half with the advantage. And Borough, no doubt, will know that Tranmere are struggling down at the Hawthorns, and if ever there was an extra incentive to get out there and complete the job, that scoreline surely must have been it. And as we heard Brian Law say down the touchline, perhaps the danger, David Mills, is that they get a little bit too carried away.
Well, I think they've got to remember that Luton will keep playing. They'll keep trying to pass the ball around. They'll try and get it up onto the front player, Taylor. Little Marshall will make these darting runs from just slightly deep of Taylor, and if they don't mark, then all of a sudden they could find themselves back on level terms.
Luton with that early free kick then, but that's really given away quite rashly by Scott Oates. Borough looking to push on now and really get a grip of this game. More through, and that nearly ran on for Hendry, but the cover was there from Richard Harvey, who filled in from the left-back position and got it away. Hendry just backed off him in the hope that it might go all the way through, and he created the space. But again, Alan Moore getting out wide and showing what a match winner he can be. Interesting during the week that Brian Robson was saying that Alan Moore is ready for the call up to the higher international level. He's appearing for Republic of Ireland's under-21 squad. And if Borough get promotion and go up into the Premiership and Moore gets a better platform for his skills, that may not be too far away. Moore chasing it again. Davis with an easy ball to get forward. Knocked on there by Marshall. Header in there by Cox. Flag stayed down there as Robson played that one through. One win in the last 8 games for Luton Town. Lost the last 2 games by a 1-0 scoreline. And they're facing the same situation here at Ayresome Park. Scott Oates out wide to Telfer. They were looking for an offside appeal there, Middlesbrough. Cox, positive header away, only as far as Linton though. Good ball out wide this time, and they get it. So many of our teams play with that disciplined back line. David Fleet down into the dugout for this second half. One of the most knowledgeable and wily managers in the Football League, and the Premiership for that matter. No doubt he'll be trying to make sure that Luton keep going. He will certainly not hand Middlesbrough anything on a plate. Right forward again by Peake. Under it was Pearson. Fjortoft and Hendry chasing it. The young keeper quite composed.
They really need to be ruthless, Middlesbrough, now. Not in a physical sense, but in a mental sense. They've got to make sure they keep the shape. They've got to make sure that they tighten down on people and that they really discourage Luton from this passing game that they like to play. They're 1-0 ahead. They're in the driving seat. They've now really got to kill off the opposition.
Just a little touch there. A bigger touch from Pearson. No flag that time, but Borough with time. Fancy dress is the order of the day, and he's in the Christmas spirit. One of 23,903. I can't believe there's 2 that look like that. Cox. Give composure in this Borough team. I just feel that they can complete the job. White denied there by the linesman's flag on the far side. White's had an outstanding season.
In fairness, I don't think it was against Derek White. I think it was Jan Fjortoft and John Henry who were both in offside positions.
Because wanting it upfield, Hendry improvising, Moore just knocking into that space as he likes to do, and then give it a chase. Fjortoft also giving it a chase. Fjortoft, just a minute ago, waving his arms around, encouraging players, fans. There is a definite touch of the showman about this player. He likes the big time, he wants the bigger stage of the Premiership. Competition for strikers' places, of course, here at Middlesbrough now. Uwe Fuchs and Jaime Moreno both on the bench today, because a little shove there at Taylor, but not illegally. Played through for Telford a chase. White again, sure-footed. Miller neatly out for Robson. Back for White. Good, simple, effective football that. Hendry with the challenge, but Harvey can play it out wider. Waddock. Back for Johnson again. What a layoff that was. To give Luton that midfield space, they do want to knock it around. David Pleat very much the disciple of careful, skillful football. And Middlesbrough, whose determined work rate in midfield has been a great feature of their play this season. Indeed, possibly go up a level still had they Robbie Mustoe still in the team. But they need to make sure they maintain that and stop Luton from getting any chance to play the ball around and really spoil Middlesbrough's big day out. What Fjortoft running back on with a chair. Fjortoft then shoved the photographer out the way, nicked his chair, and then ran on the pitch with it before throwing it back.
What they've got to do is put a little bit more pressure on the player in possession of the ball, a little bit quicker, just to quicken the tempo up a little bit, and not allow Luton the time to play and pass the ball around, because they can do that. They're encouraged to do that, and it's the way they enjoy playing.
Now it's with Blackmore, just closed down there enough for it to fall for Priest. Pearson lifting it forward. Nigel Pearson. Recent fan survey outside the ground had Pearson as the Player of the Year. One or two more honours to be handed out this year. Pearson has certainly been a skipper in every sense in this season. Put in there, three Borough players converging on Taylor. Mr. Vaines deciding that whatever the Robson protests may be, it's still a free kick. He's been a good protester, Brian Robson. You've got to give him his due for that as well.
Undoubtedly, I don't think he was too happy with that decision. And in fairness, I agree with him. I thought, in fairness, it was honest competition for the ball.
Vickers competing for the ball there and winning it. Priest picking it up. And it was Hendry who was chasing in. Hendry as well, working for the right to play. Old football philosophy. Very much kept alive by Middlesbrough. Fjortoft robbed there by Peake. Square from Waddock to Harvey. Again, you can see when Luton get a chance to knock it around, they can measure their passes and look very tidy. Neatly brought down. Marshall had a go. Nice stuff. A real poke in the final effort, though.
No, nice little touch. Shot from a fair distance there. That's not really going to trouble Alan Miller, but it's just the time and the space that they're getting now in advanced positions, Luton.
And it's Borough in an advanced position now with Hendry, crowded down by Trevor Peake. Hendry, a survivor of that 92 promotion team, of course. And Lenny Lawrence and his men wrapped it up down at Wolverhampton. Tony Pollock was there that day as well. And Steve Pears on the bench today was also a member. This is Robbo's team, and Robbo the man on the ball. Moore. By White. away by Harvey. Waddock making himself available. Harvey getting the return. Blackmore threatening to challenge that on David Priest. It'll be a booking, I think. Priest was the victim. Blackmore into the book. Second player booked. Trevor Peake also got a yellow card in the first half. Vickers, finding himself facing in the wrong direction, had to get it away. And Moore getting through an increasing workload these days. Lifted in by Oakes. Vickers straight in there. Johnson giving away to Fjortoft. It's a good ball, chipped in there by Hendry's got away. Still two defenders. John Hendry will have to go solo. And he pulled it across the face of the goal. Hendry always prepared to run and have a go himself. He scored some spectacular solos on this ground. Not quite one that time, though.
No, he's taken it well, gone strongly there. He's taken it early, decided to shoot early from just outside the box. I thought he might have gone on a little bit further, particularly with a 1v1 against Peake, who, as I said earlier, hasn't really got that much pace, and you would back John Hendry to run him ragged, really, given the opportunity.
Moore ready to have a run as well. Good tackling there by Turpin, shove there from Linton, no foul, says Mr. Baines. Marshall takes it, runs into Pollock. Advantage played. Foot out there from Pearson. Marshall still in this move. Cox will have to stretch and just nicked it away from Richard Harvey, who come forward. Cox evidently not believing that's a Luton Town ball and the corner kick. Borough need to really concentrate from these set pieces. Central defender Johnson is up there. Priest looking to knock it in. Away by Hendry. Moore has got most of the pitch to aim at. Very little support. White has surged forward. Again, well-timed tackle from Peake. Robson. White. Barry Waddock. Priest. Harvey. Marshall. Cox. Not too many half measures in that challenge.
Fairly uncompromising, I think, that you would say.
Priest knocking it in there to Taylor. Touch not what he was looking for. Robson and Hendry onto the loose ball. Hendry, posse of defenders there. Hendry still giving it a chase. The legs of Linton, looking for a bit of support. Not getting it. Still with Hendry. It was Blackmore who arrived, has to check, but they've still got this move going forwards. Fjort off the target, down to Robson! Robson trying it over the top of it, but again he appears in that crucial position. He's out of the midfield and he's just waiting for anything that's going to be half cleared or knocked back to him.
Well, the ball here just behind Fjortoft. Fjortoft just getting a touch. Brian Robson coming onto it, just firing it with his right foot, just can't get over it again. Good pressure from the defender there, just forcing Robson to have to take that a little bit early on the up. Can't keep it down and it flashes over the bar.
JB Pollock, he'll still be running everywhere halfway through the summer, I think. Certainly his season's workload has been quite astonishing. Vickers. Cox. In fairness, Neil Cox has the composure and the experience, even though he's only 23, to put that penalty miss well behind him and get on with the rest of his day's work, and he's certainly done that. Hendry. Blackmore, a little touch. Fjortoft still keeping possession and winning that throw in there. Hendry. Good challenge that from Richard Harvey. Peak. It's a little bit casual, that one for Linton. They've not really got this one under control yet, Luton. An hour into the game. It's 1-0, Middlesbrough leading through John Hendry. Robson got a foot there. Free kick to Luton. Marshall, got a few yards of room there. Marshall still having a run at the defence. Cox just getting a shoulder charge in there, just to make him think about really taking him on. Started in non-league football, Dwight Marshall with Grays Athletic, and graduated the difficult way, 29, so a fair bit of football behind him. Header, Harvey forward, Cox was in there, Hendry again, Cox looking to push on, Johnson, good work there, Pearson. A bad bit of dainty control from the big man, but he just dwelt on it a little bit too long, and now Luton have got the ball back. Marshall trying to get round the back again, but there's Pearson. And Priest, I think, had a bit of a think about that challenge. Saw Pearson take off and launching himself at the ball. He said, that looks yours to me as well.
Well, once Nigel Pearson elected to do that, he was always going to be second favourite, Priest, wasn't he? And I think it was a question of discretion being the better.
I think it was going to be Pearson's ball. Yeah. Priest had got it. Marshall, touch off there for Oakes. In Pollock challenging. Marshall, though, a bit lively on the ball when he gets the chance of bringing that foul out of Brian Robson. Now the free kick from an interesting position.
The problem they've got at the moment, Middlesbrough, is that they're playing 5 in midfield. Luton, Marshall's dropping off to make a midfield 5 with Telfer, Waddock and Priest giving them an extra man in there. And Middlesbrough are not sure whether to push anybody in from the back or not. And of course this little interchange of position and this fluency they have, Luton, from midfield is causing Middlesbrough problems.
Few men square for anything touchdown, but it's lifted in towards Taylor. It's goal, equaliser. They're appealing the Borough players, but it's in from John Taylor. That's 1-1. Disaster for the Borough, but Luton caught them napping with the dead ball kick.
Well, the ball's clipped in there. We couldn't see whether it was offside. He's got in between the 2 central defenders there. I mean, in fairness, that's poor marking. You can't really be looking to play offside in a set-piece situation like that. He's come across the front in between the 2 defenders and placed that ball into the far corner, but a lack of concentration and poor marking really more than anything else has cost Middlesbrough that goal.
So Middlesbrough now have it all to do again. That really has quietened down the celebrations here. John Taylor has got the equaliser then for Luton. Here's Taylor again. Pearson was there. Taylor getting a shot in, but no power on it. Taylor's 3rd goal since he arrived from Bradford on the day of the transfer deadline. He's suffering from a migraine this week. He's certainly given Middlesbrough an almighty headache. Moore now, we're going to have a run. Hendry just closed ranks there. Championships have to be won, not normally presented to you. And we've got the injury down there. Middlesbrough know that the wider job they face is getting out there and taking it for themselves. Alan Moore, who's down there, rolls over just to confirm it. And treatment allowed to take place now. Now it's a real test for them, isn't it, David?
Very much so, yes. I mean, it's important now that they, just looking at that, he falls here, Alan Moore, good positive run, but he falls amongst a crowd of bodies, and I think he probably just knocked his head on somebody's knee, or as he went down, purely an accident. There was no intent in that situation whatsoever, just one of those situations where he's maybe got a little bit of wind as well.
Robbie Moreno warming up. Two strikers there on the bench. Maybe an option that Brian Robson has to take. Alan Moore is back in the land of the living. Brian Robson just gesturing there to try and lift the players' spirits again. Knocked in again, dangerously towards White. Taylor's there, Robson's there as well. Pollock and Blackmore. Peake got to it first. Now Blackmore again. Cox. Johnson under it. And another injury. It's Marvin Johnson who's down. That'll be a bit of treatment. David Pleat just asking them to keep it cool and enjoy the professional challenge of spoiling the party. Let's look at that incident again, David.
Yes, I think it's just a combination of challenges here between Pollock and Henry, just the way he falls. I think he just falls awkwardly there under the challenge of John Henry and Pollock.
Further news from the Hawthorns as play gets underway again here. West Bromwich Albion 2, Tranmere 0. Lee Ashcroft after 63 minutes. And really, Borough's chances to cash in are all ahead of them. But they've got to get that lead back. 1-1 here against Luton Town. Fjortoft flags up John Henry. A lot of anxious people in this ground, and I'm sure one of them is the former Middlesbrough skipper Tony Mowbray. Well, Tony, they've got to really get back into their stride now, Middlesbrough.
Yes, Roger. They'll be looking for the real strong characters, I think, on the field. Looking at Nigel Pearson there, Brian Robson. The need to get about the players, and we need another surge, a big push. There's danger of the crowd getting behind them now, and that's what they need. They need to lift it again. It's gone a bit flat for them. They need a big surge and see if they can get that second goal.
Thank you, Tony. Need a bit of the old Mowbray spirit, dare I say it. Well, they've got one or two chips off the Mowbray block, as it were, out there in the Borough team. There's some hard and determined pros out there. But they've also got to keep cool. Further news from the Hawthorns, it's certainly all happening down there. In 68 minutes, John Aldridge pulled Tranmere back to 2-1, and a minute later, a second goal for Lee Ashurst makes it West Brom 3, Tranmere 1. 3 goals then in 6 minutes down at the Hawthorns. 2 of them for Lee Ashcroft, 1 for Aldridge. 3-1 West Brom leading Tranmere. Here at Ayresome Park on this last league match. 1-1, Borough Luton. Taylor, the man who got the equaliser, now in possession. And that one cut out, an important interception too by Steve Vickers. And as Tony Mowbray was just saying a minute or two ago, they need a lift, they need a pick-up, they need a bit of spark.
They do, that's right. I mean, the effort is there. It's just a little bit misguided at the moment. I don't think you can fault the team in terms of effort and commitment, but they're just allowing Luton to dictate the play now. As I say, they're playing 4 at the back and they're only pushing Taylor up front. They've got to have the mental courage now to maybe just push on and take the game. And as Tony Mowbray said, surge, but they've got to do it in a competitive and composed way.
Fox into Hendry. Fjortoft. Hendry through. Hendry. It's another excellent save from Kelvin Davis. And another chance that Middlesbrough don't convert. 18-year-old Davis standing his ground again. Well, John Hendry certainly got free then. The first one-on-one we've had, and Davis has certainly done his bit to make Borough go all the way if they want to win this First Division Championship. Moore, a little bit over-deliberate, if anything, Borough at the moment. A little bit of inhibition into the play now that wasn't there earlier. Robson, nothing inhibited about him, surely. Moore, he can win a game. Pollock, he's the sort of person they'll look to really push on. Pollock bursting through the men there, and White supporting as well, and still with White, and Hendry! Goal! Borough! John Hendry! Hendry's second, and Middlesbrough back in charge. John Hendry, who's done so much over the years, puts the smile back on the Middlesbrough supporters. And they can't stop celebrating down there.
Well, a terrific positive run here from Pollock. He goes through, he's fouled there. The referee, in fairness, allows advantage. Derek White does terrific here, keeps his composure, cuts it back. John Hendry, one-touch control, and then just clips it into the corner. Full credit to Derek White here, who does brilliant. Controls it on the line, looks up, doesn't just smash it across the goal, picks out John Hendry, and John Hendry just passes it into the goal. But full credit to the referee in that situation as well, because he could quite easily have pulled Pollock up and given Middlesbrough a foul, but he allowed play to continue, and it's brought dividends.
And it's brought the score to Middlesbrough 2, Luton Town 1. And John Hendry has really done the business. That'll settle down Ayresome Park. News from the Hawthorns. Lee Ashcroft is having the game of his life. Meanwhile, here's Fjortoft first. Fjortoft, corner kick to complete the story. Lee Ashcroft has got a hat-trick for West Brom. A 71st minute penalty. It's now West Brom 4, Tranmere 1. Tranmere are falling. They started this game 4 points behind the Borough with a game in hand. And now it's Borough who are leading. And it's Tranmere who are struggling. Here's Henry, the man of the moment. Through for Robson. Davis is there again. Fox. Now Hendry again. Hendry into the middle, looking for Cox. Pollock. It's heading the wrong way, Jamie Pollock there for a moment. Peak. Crease. Well held Miller. Just when our keeper needs to be reliable. 16 clean sheets in 39 league games before today. Robson, considering his own future in a playing sense this week, will be looking to bow out in his own career in the right way, not just at Ayresome Park but anywhere. Crease down for Harvey. Luton still looking to give it a go. Certainly the rest of the promotion hopefuls won't be able to point any fingers at Luton Town and say they didn't really do it for us, because they've certainly not let Middlesbrough walk all over them by a long way.
I don't think they can play any other way. I think they'll get a lift from the atmosphere and the crowd here this afternoon. Obviously not as much as Middlesbrough, but they'll enjoy playing in front of this sort of situation. David Pleat will want his side to perform well in front of the television cameras, so I can't see Luton letting things die until the end of the game.
Sorry, David Pleat there, getting quite involved in the atmosphere as well. Spoke to him last night, he was really looking forward to this occasion. Genuine love affair with football in David Pleat's case. And he'll want his team to acquit themselves in the right way, and he'll want to make Borough do their job all the way. Milestone for John Hendry and all the excitement. There's been a bit of debate as to whether he'd had 98 Borough goals before today or not, but with 2 in the bag, he certainly wrapped up his century in the most fitting style possible. Harry Waddock, Peak, Robson, Fjortoft, Hendry thinking about giving it a chase. Stumping that one upfield, though I'm sure Brian Robson will want his team to keep playing their football. Wonder whether Middlesbrough might be thinking about making a change, or whether they'll think that it's going okay, let's just leave it as it is.
Well, I think he may possibly look maybe to involve Marino before the end. Certainly they've got to make sure that they don't get stretched.
Fjortoft having another party there with Trevor Peak. Got a good sideshow. Peak has really fought his way through this game. Alan Moore gets a touch first. Fjortoft turns sharply enough, shrugs off one challenge. Robson can't quite get there. Moore's down, struggling again. The first time he's been decked. Vickers, White. Alan Moore in a spot of trouble again. It's as though, even though it's Alan Moore who's down, substitution is going to be made by Luton Town. Scott Oates is coming off. And he's going to be replaced by Tony Thorpe. Another Luton youngster, just 21. And just pointing out how David Pleat wants Luton to reshape. Just look at the way Alan Moore got injured here.
Yes, he's just caught there, just slightly late by the full-back, just across the thigh. He's up on his feet now, he'll shake that off. The important thing is with things like that is to keep on the move, not let it stiffen up. If you start walking around, obviously the muscles start to tighten up a little bit. You've got to try and keep on the move, keep it loose.
Into the last 10 minutes now, still 2-1 to the Borough. On the edge a bit. White quite connecting as clean as he wanted. Fjortoft with a challenge. Waddock now has been busy in the midfield, keeping the passing going for Luton. Harvey. Cox could get to that one first. He did, but quite enough to control it. Just gave himself a little bit of a pull there, I think, in stretching. Priest. Tackle was from Blackmore. And consider here I've done a free transfer. Fairly astute bit of business by the player manager there as well. What a good blend of experience and youth.
That's right. I mean, he's gone for experienced defenders as well, hasn't he? He's brought Nigel Pearce in this season, and of course, in fairness, he's been a colossus for him this season. He's an old-fashioned type of centre-half. You know, he puts his head in there where it matters. When the bullets are flying, he's the one that you know, puts his head in with lost causes. And it's amazing what situations you actually retrieve in that situation.
Telfer, Pollock. Fjortoft, here goes Pollock through the middle. Pollock in on goal. Pollock and Davis there again. Moore wants it. Pollock still got it. And again, Borough open up the way to goal, but can't finish off the job. Pollock that time was looking for good night Luton. Hendry. Fjortoft hooking it back there for Clayton Blackmore. In again to Cox, who's pushed right forward. Cox pushing into a space. Moore is the only one really getting there. Fjortoft made up the ground. It's a corner. One of your duties today, of course, David, is choosing a man of the match, and very briefly, a few contenders.
Well, John Hendry, obviously, for a couple of goals. Pollock has been very, very vigorous in midfield. And Fjortoft obviously has held things up very well indeed. So there's quite a number of contenders, not forgetting one or two good Luton performances as well, of course.
One or two steady hands at the back as well for the Borough, but the job by no means complete. Clayton Blackmore with the corner kick to Middlesbrough. Fired in. Davies didn't get it cleanly, but did that time. And the young 18-year-old, rated so highly by David Pleat. It's a pat there from Fjortoft. David Pleat took him to Italy recently when he was in charge of a young Football League team. Fjortoft still on his way back there. Davis again getting plenty of distance. White, Robson, White, Moore, looking for a whistle, looking for a flag, and maybe they were looking for the ball out of play, but the flag on the far side stopped the game. Harvey, still just one goal in it, always a narrow margin, especially when Priest breaks through like that. Just didn't quite have the legs to catch that one. David Freese at 31. Luton's longest serving player. Not quite as frisky over the last yard or two, certainly at the beginning of this game, which has been a hard affair, not to mention the previous 8 or 9 months of work. Somebody determined to get the best and final view of football at Ayresome Park. A little foolhardy. Let's hope there's nothing silly to mar the day. Ball again robbed there by Paul Telfer. Blackmore. Charge down there. Hendry. Offside flag. Hendry. Toft again caught offside. How many times has he seen the flag go up during this long, hard season? And passive there from Mr. Colin Gordon from North Shields, the senior linesman. Doesn't have too far to travel today. Here's Marshall, Pearson. Atmosphere maybe a little bit too relaxed around it. Nigel Pearson making sure that doesn't spread out to the pitch. 3 or 4 minutes left, and as important 3 or 4 minutes as Borough have faced all season. It was a dead ball kick that proved their undoing earlier when Taylor struck. Kelvin Davies, the keeper's come right up for this one. Miller's pushed it. Davies, the keeper, had a go as well. Well, he's on some sort of a high today. He's been doing his stuff at the back. Now he's got to run back. And Hendry. I think if Alan Miller did that, then you'd find that Brian Robson suddenly caught up the ground, dragged him off in the opposite direction. Fjortoft. Tony Thorpe. The crowd are planning their post-match celebrations, but there's 2 or 3 anxious minutes to get through. We've had a few stoppages. Knocked forward by Pearson. Well, the ball's out of play, David. Your man of the match, please.
Well, there's been a couple of great performances, but I've actually given it to Derek White. I think he's been inspirational this afternoon, both defensively and, of course, in laying on that second goal for John Henry, which is unusual to see Derek up there on the dead ball line in the opposition penalty area.
I remember early days of the first half, he made that quite sensational chase back and tackle, and that really set his stall out, Derek White, who started the season having to battle his way into the team, but has come in at left back and looked mightily assured. The world has collapsed on and around Tranmere Rovers this afternoon. Latest score from the Hawthorns. It's 5-1 to West Brom now. West Brom 5, Tranmere 1. Maybe they'll be relieved it's not on goal difference in this league if it gets a bit tight at the end. Bob Taylor getting the 5th goal there for West Bromwich Albion. 2-1 here, Borough lead. Now they could really wrap it up here. Fjortoft is in the middle. Hendry has to deliver. Fjortoft is just a bit too far, but Hendry, in fairness to him, had to bend it round the defender as well, and it was a fine angle to bisect. Fjortoft would have loved to have wrapped it all up there. drifted over Cox, that one. Into the final minute, well into it. Borough need to hang on. Linton, Robson, good positioning and so calm to play it out for Alan Moore. Moore. And now here's Hendry. Could it be a hat-trick for Hendry? Hendry, Fjortoft. Oh, he's put it wide, Fjortoft. Fjortoft could have had a couple himself today. And Hendry that time wanted to be the provider.
Well, a great ball there from Alan Moore to pick out Hendry. Hendry doing well, controls it, takes it on, and you fancy Hendry in that situation, but he isolates the defender, chips it across for Fjortoft, and all Fjortoft has to do really is hit the target. I only hope that it doesn't come down at the end of the season to goals for. I just hope that we aren't looking back today on all the chances Middlesbrough have had, and only the fact that they've taken 2 of them.
Borough will have gone 1 ahead of Bolton on goals scored, and 1 ahead as well of Tranmere, who scored 1 today, despite the 5 they've let in. They've got to get these 3 points first, that's what really matters. Here's Fjortoft. Fjortoft round his man. He's got too much angle on that header a moment or 2 ago when he just needed to really make sure it reached the net. Moore through, flags down, Hendry, Fjortoft in the middle. Now can Hendry wrap it up? Hendry! And Davis again, he wanted to walk it in, and really, as David Mills has just said, it better not come down to goals scored, because this will be the day that Borough will have thrown away that chance, even though they've grabbed the points. Oh, what an incident-filled game it's been. We could have had hundreds of goals, really. So many chances in the first half, and there's been a string now.
Well, again, Alan Moore playing the ball through, Hendry timing his run, going clear. He has a look, Hendry, to see if there's anybody in support, and I just think that he's got to be a little bit more positive there. I just think he was a little bit too casual, and you wouldn't expect that, particularly if you're on 2 goals. You'd think you'd be hungry for that 3rd.
Robson, Pollock now has got the ball. Only 2 minutes of stoppage time. Well, Ayresome Park has seen 8 promotions and 8 relegations over the years, and the whistle's gone. Borough on their way by taking another major step to another promotion, perhaps. It's been the day that started by looking back, but has ended with the sights very firmly set on the future, thanks to John Hendry. Up the Borough is the message there, and thanks to 2 goals from John Hendry, Borough still heading in the right direction. Some of the supporters have come on the pitch in their exuberance. Pearson there, the skipper. Individual celebrations going around, and I think many of the crowd want the fans to go off so they can play their own tribute to the Middlesbrough players. The mood is certainly high. Players getting cheered off the pitch. Robson there, right in the middle of it all. And he's asking them to go back, and I think he was quite prepared to acknowledge the applause of the crowd. But Robson's message this week has been, we will not be celebrating until we have something definite to celebrate. Robson playing the diplomat there in encouraging the players to get the fans off the pitch. On a day when everything has gone so right for them on the pitch, in an incident-filled game. It's a pity we've had 1 or 2 of these over-enthusiastic fans come on to celebrate, and I think everybody was looking for the set piece to end with a little bit more sense of theatre. Robson mobbed by the supporters who've really worshipped what he's done here, the lift he gave the club when he came here, and the influence he's had on the team. One Brian Robson is the cry from the crowd. It's ended here 2-1 to Middlesbrough in this vital game. Let's go down and hear from the man himself, Brian Robson, with Ian Payne.
Brian Robson, congratulations, what a fantastic way to finish off here at Ayresome Park.
Yeah, delighted. It was a hot day, and the lads really put it in and delighted with them.
Tremendous performance. It could have been 5-1. The reason I mentioned that scoreline is you might be pleased to know that West Brom have beaten Tranmere by 5 goals to 1.
We like to make it hard for ourselves. Keeps everybody on their toes.
So really it is down to yourselves now. Only yourselves and Bolton can win this championship.
We said it all the time, it was up to us. But we've still got a bit of work to do yet.
As you say, I don't know if you heard me there, Tranmere have lost 5-1 this afternoon, so it's all to play for.
That's all right, but this was the main result. The lads did their own business, and you know we need to do that next week as well.
It's been a tremendous atmosphere here all afternoon. What a send-off.
Cheers.
Okay, thanks Brian. And John Hendry, the man who scored the 2 goals. Fantastic match for you.
Yeah, I mean the crowd have come out in the force today, and it was a bit emotional. I mean, going to new ground and what have you. But this is the best atmosphere I've played in Ayresome Park. It's fantastic.
Fantastic final match here. The fans, what can you say about them?
Absolutely magnificent. Just look at them now, and hopefully we can get the point we need. It's not over yet. There's still a bit of work to be done.
But you're confident you'll be in the Premiership next season, John?
We'll tell you next Saturday, next Sunday.
Thanks very much, John.
Okay.
Well, you can see the players have come back to take the applause. They were very coy indeed about taking the salute without it all being wrapped up, but they've taken such an important step forward. The man of the match is Derek White, and you can see it being presented to him.
Derek White, congratulations. Man of the match this afternoon, presented by Bill Corcoran of Ainsley. Tremendous afternoon.
Yeah, tremendous. It was always going to be difficult for us. There was so much pressure on the boys to perform. I don't think we had much chances really. I thought we played very well. I'm just delighted I made a contribution for John's goal. So it's a great day for everybody here.
Thanks very much, Derek. Yes.
Well, these supporters aren't going to let anybody go. They demanded this. They demanded the pitch be cleared. They demanded the players come and take the salute. It's not over by any means. It's going to go down to the rest of the games. Perhaps that last match, maybe the midweek games, will settle it all. But it's a great scene here at Ayresome Park. The whole ground still full. A check on the final scoreline here as the players take a final salute on this final league game here at Ayresome Park. The scoreline was what it was really all about for Brian Robson and his team. Middlesbrough 2, Luton Town 1, both goals for John Hendry. Borough taking the applause and nearly ready to celebrate. Let's go back to Duncan Wood.
Thanks very much, Roger. What an afternoon we've had at Ayresome Park. Tony Mowbray stayed with us. We'll be talking to him very shortly about that dramatic win for Middlesbrough and seeing more from the side of the pitch. Don't go far away. Welcome back to the Tyne-Tees match. We've had a tremendous afternoon at Ayresome Park. Middlesbrough 2, Luton 1. Tony, superb scenes outside, superb game really.
Yeah, it was a much better game than you might have anticipated. I thought there might have been a lot of tension there today, but the boys really turned it on, and as you say, it could have finished 4-5 at the end if John had took a few chances he had, and Big Jan missed a sitting there at the end, but everybody will be happy with the points, and it's all to play for next week.
One win away from the Premiership.
Yeah, it's exciting times, isn't it? This is the last game here at Ayresome, but you know, don't be sad about that. We're going on to a new era at the new stadium, and that's something to look forward to, hopefully in the Premiership.
There's Brian Robson out there on the pitch now, loving every minute of this. He said he wouldn't do a lap of honour, a lap of celebration, until he actually won something. He's not far away from it now, is he?
No, not at all. But I mean, sometimes you say that. I mean, it's difficult to keep a grip of your emotions at times, and on a day like this, it's the last game here at Ayresome Park, as you say, and it is within touching distance of taking Middlesbrough into the Premiership. It's a dream for him. It was a big job, and you know, big reputation, and to come to a club like Middlesbrough and turn it around and get promotion. You know, hopefully next week it'll be a great achievement for the man.
He really has proved himself, but some of those players have as well. I mean, Alan Miller there in the centre of the shot, brought in from Arsenal to recover for Pearsie, and he's played all the season virtually.
Yeah, fabulous, absolutely fabulous. I think, to be fair to the rest of the team, he's played in front of a very good back four this year, and a really hard working midfield, and you know, the goals have flowed as well. So it's been an all-round team performance all right through the season, and hopefully they'll get the just rewards next week.
Jaime Moreno, who's coming there, I bet you he never expected to see anything like this. He'd never see anything like that either.
No, absolutely. I don't know a lot about Jaime. I haven't seen much of him, but as I say, it was a team performance this year, and delighted for everybody. And next week's the big one. I'm sure it's a big cup final almost for them.
OK, Tony, let's go down to the side of the pitch with Ian Payne, see who he's got now.
David Armstrong, star of the 70s at Borough. How much have you enjoyed watching the stars of the 90s this afternoon?
It's been great, a great atmosphere, great. It actually brings back great memories of when we won the league in 73, 74. Very similar, and I only hope the players and the crowd really enjoy it, because really they're back in the top flight now, right where they belong.
They really have finished off on a high note this afternoon, haven't they?
Very much so, and it wasn't obviously easy for Brian and the lads to, to keep the mind on it, but he's done a fantastic job, him and the backroom staff at the club. Done a fantastic job, went about the job the right way, and of course got the right result.
We look forward to seeing them in the Premiership next season.
Yeah, some good sides in there, and hopefully they compete against the better ones. I live in Southampton area, but there's some good sides, and it'd be nice to see them down there.
Thanks very much indeed, David.
Thank you.
Well, Tony, what do you think they've really got to do to compete in the Premiership? Obviously bring in a couple of more players, I would imagine.
Yeah, and Brian will have his own ideas what's needed in what area they feel it's needed. I'm sure he knows it does need strengthening. I think you need people who've played there, got the experience of the Premiership. I mean, we found our cost that sometimes you maybe stick with the lads that get you there, and you think that they can do the job. And when it comes to the crunch, it's experience, and you're playing against international players week in, week out, and that's the difference at times. And I'm sure Brian knows what's needed.
It's strange, really, that it's come down to this, that it's Bruce Rioch and Colin Todd's Bolton against Brian Robson's Middlesbrough to go up into that Premiership now.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, I hope Middlesbrough make it next week, but I've got a great affection for Bruce and Colin, and I'd love to think that they could get up through the playoff system.
And what about the fans outside now? They have deserved something like this. The Borough have done well all season.
Yeah.
They deserve to have this moment.
Yes, very much so. I mean, especially the last couple of years, I think they've looked down the road there at Newcastle and seen what Keegan's done and turned things around there. And sometimes you can look on things with envious eyes, and Robson's come and he's achieving the same things, and hopefully in another year or two Middlesbrough can be exactly where Newcastle are in the higher echelons of the Premiership.
There's Steve Gibson, the chairman, and is he delighted? He put his life on the line, really, putting all his money into the club and bringing Brian Robson. He got the man he wanted. I'm sure he got the result he wanted this afternoon.
Yeah, that's great for Steve. He's a smashing bloke, and he's got the club right at heart, and as I said, hopefully we can do it, and that's just one person that, if we get Premiership football for, it's a great tribute to him. He's done some smashing.
OK, thanks for the moment, Tony. Well, it's come a lot easier for Middlesbrough now because of Tranmere's result down at West Brom. A terrific game down at the Hawthorns. Let's take a look at that action now.
Caldicott beaten to it. And now Gary Stevens, former England fullback, doing well to lose Caldicott and driving one in, and that was on its way to the top corner. Good save by Naylor, and Gary Stevens denied a dramatic goal.
Yes, great strike by Gary Stevens. He comes through, he just does a little shimmy there, beats his man, and then comes in on his right foot and really strikes a powerful ball right up in the left-hand corner.
And that's good play by Ashcroft. Smith is on the left, Taylor is in the middle, and Hamilton on the near post. It comes to Donovan. And Donovan again. That's a superb goal. Kevin Donovan. Brilliant interplay by West Bromwich Albion. And again, it's neat interpassing by West Bromwich Albion. Very good football. Foul there by Higgins, who's going to be off. It's going to be the red card here for Dave Higgins. His second bookable offence, and he's off. Kenworthy's corner, headed clear, and getting straight back into the danger zone. Struthers did well to get it away now. It's a one-on-one opportunity here. Ashcroft could finish them off. A second goal for West Bromwich Albion. 18 minutes into the second half. What a problem for Tranmere now.
Here's the corner, it's headed away, a rebound, and just a punt upfield where Ashcroft just tempts his defender in, turns in, and goes running onto it, looks behind, he knows he's got time, but that's cool, that's calculated.
There was a crunching challenge by Thomas on Agnew, and there is another crunching challenge that has earned a penalty kick. Smith, the culprit. Nevin goes down. Referee Cooper had no hesitation in pointing to the spot. And he scored. Tranmere back in the picture. John King looking a little more settled perhaps now, but O'Brien has to come to their rescue defensively. Oh! And almost as soon as they celebrate a goal themselves, Ashcroft has punished them once more. And there goes Ashcroft again. What a day he's having, and he goes down, and this time it is a penalty. The second penalty in a matter of minutes. Three goals for Ashcroft. Well, what answer can Tranmere produce to this? They're in trouble again as Hamilton has beaten the offside trap. This could be number 5. It had to be. Taylor gets it.
5-1 to West Brom this afternoon. What a result. Tranmere really devastated over the last couple of weeks. But Middlesbrough they're out at the top of the First Division by 5 clear points now. 81 points from 45 games. Just their final game of the season. Down at Tranmere, of course, next Sunday to go. Bolton are the only team that can catch them. And, of course, if Middlesbrough win next week, they're in the Premiership. Now the fans are just leaving the ground now. They've had a tremendous afternoon's entertainment. They've seen a couple of cracking goals from John Hendry, the master goal scorer himself. Tony, they really have enjoyed themselves.
Yeah, it's been a carnival day for them, and it's all turned out fine at the end. As I say, we had our worries at the beginning, but it's all turned out great.
We had a bit of a worry when that Luton equaliser went in, didn't we?
Yes, you bet. The Luton started knocking it about a bit, and they didn't have a lot of pressure on them. Pleats teams always play good football, but as we said earlier, they came back. Middlesbrough got another surge, and they got the goal they deserved.
We really could have done with them knocking a few more in, because at the end of the day, I mean, if they don't pick anything up at Tranmere, it could go on goals scored. Yeah, well, that's a big factor this year, yeah, and hopefully we won't have to look back and think maybe the one Jan missed the header in the 6-yard box and John was through one-on-one with the keeper a few times. Hopefully it won't come into play, but it would have been nice to see him hit the net all the same. And one of the most memorable days ever at Ayresome Park. Do you think people will be sad leaving here, that they're leaving this ground behind or not? Yeah, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. I mean, people still stood in the old gate and they're reluctant to leave. But as I said, they've got to look forward, and they've got to look forward to the new ground in the Premiership, hopefully. Probably some tears out there now. But let's take a look back at what it was like earlier this afternoon. We've been here since 2 o'clock.
It's really nice to be back here again, and I feel a bit tearful about the old stadium coming down, because we had some magnificent times here, some wonderful memories.
So much to these people who've been here, seen thick and thin over the years, good times and bad, and it's all coming to an end at Ayresome Park. But a new era, and hopefully they can go on to bigger and better things at the new stadium, at the Riverside Stadium. And hopefully they're competing with the Manchester United in a few years.
Some fantastic moments, and don't worry, we haven't just thrown Paul Wilkinson off the top here. He did go down and join in that end-of-match celebration with his teammates. He's missed out in recent weeks, but he's played a massive contribution to this season at Borough. OK, Riverside Stadium next, Tony.
Yep.
And they must be in with a good chance of consolidating next season. They've got Brian Robson here now, and they've got to go from strength to strength.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. I'm sure Brian will be happy to get in there, as you say, and consolidate. Anything extra will be great. If we can do a Newcastle United, even a Notts Forest this year have shown that they can come straight through and do really well. There's no reason why, if Brian gets the right signings, Middlesbrough can't do exactly the same.
2 goals from John Hendry this afternoon, in typical style.
Yeah, he's been a revelation, hasn't he? He was here, I played with John. Has a great first touch here. He takes it out with his body, and I think he tries to cut it back into the far corner, but gets the deflection and it wrong foots the goalkeeper, and in it goes. So you accept that.
And really, he could have had a hat-trick, but this is his second coming up.
Well,
Derek White did really well.
Well, I played at Celtic with Derek White, and what an athlete the boy is. And I'm delighted for Derek that he's come up to Middlesbrough and he's showed people how he can play now. Look at that, great composure, picks John out, and there you go, sticks it in the corner.
OK, Tony, your final memory of Ayresome Park?
Well, today stick in my mind for a long time. The atmosphere created by the Borough fans, and they've all had a great day, and the results right, and hopefully, as I said, Premiership next season.
And John Hendry, I mean, he's going to love today.
Yeah, he's a bubbly character. He's a great lad, John Hendry, and he deserves everything he gets.
Great. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon, Tony.
Thank you.
Thanks to all our guests. We've had David Mills, who's been joining Roger as our co-commentator, Tony and Paul Wilkinson. I hope we've said farewell to Ayresome Park in style. I know that Middlesbrough did. They beat Luton 2-1 this afternoon. Only Tranmere to go. The Premiership beckons. Goodbye, Ayresome Park.
Tees match, sponsored by North East Ford Dealers. Always a great deal of football in the North East.
May the 8th, 1945, VE Day. 50 years on, the North East remembers the end of the war in Europe. On your Tyne Tees news programmes all next week, we'll be taking you back to those dramatic days and talking to some of the people who lived through them. That's VE Day.
What I'm expecting, really, except that they're fast, light, playful, my kind of member. A lot of ballet moves today. There was a whole Russian thing going on. I can't leave. Can I apply for gills?
In the Wild, Dolphins with Robin Williams, Christmas Day at 10.
Serving the northeast of England and North Yorkshire, this is Tyne Tees.
From ITN, News at 10 with Trevor McDonald.
Night and day, the Russians rain bombs on Grozny. Guinness trial sensation, convictions go to appeal. Britain loses the battle to keep Spanish fishermen out. And 15 years for the teenagers who derailed the train. Good evening. It came amid further signs of a serious rift in the highest echelons in the military in Moscow. But the Russians stepped up their bombing and shelling of Chechnya today. For the first time, there were daytime air raids on the capital, Grozny. Up to 50 people were reported killed, and most were civilians. It made it the bloodiest day since Russia intervened to put down the rebellion. ITN's Andrew Simmons was in Grozny as the bombs fell and witnessed the devastation they caused.
There was an uneasy calm as we drove into the center of Grozny.
The people were trying to do what they could after a night of the heaviest bombing since Russia invaded Chechnya. Then the planes returned. At first, the roar of the fighter bombers caused no alarm, ordinary people believing it's safe to go out in daylight. Bombing at night, reconnaissance by day had been the tactic of the Russian Air Force, until today, as we were filming, the calm was shattered.
It's 11 days since the Russians invaded, and this is the closest they've come to the presidential palace, just about 700 yards down the road. This attack came without any warning whatsoever, and as you can see, civilians are all around.
It was just then we were told to flee for our lives. Only seconds after the deafening blast, the warplanes returned. This is what they left behind. The appalling aftermath of what Russia has called precision bombing. These people weren't separatist fighters, mafia gunmen, or even soldiers. Help me, this woman cries. In the end, help did come. Every passing car or bus was hailed down to use as makeshift ambulances. Bombs and missiles continued to rain down on this city. We counted dozens of dead, most of them civilians. And in Moscow, they say the Air Force is hitting strategic targets. Amongst the dead, an American woman freelance photographer. Her close friend and colleague could do nothing. This is the carnage of daytime bombing, which despite the advanced technology of a former superpower, proved inaccurate. Military strategists say it's a tactic of an invading force intent on demoralizing the Chechen people. But as Grozny tried to absorb this, the biggest bombardment since President Yeltsin ordered his troops in, General Dadayev was still claiming that his people had two choices, either death or freedom. This woman says she can't leave, she has nowhere to go.
Please don't leave us in this situation, because it's very terrible.
Looking at Grozny's hospitals, which are filled to overflowing, mostly with civilians, it comes as no surprise that senior Russian officers are refusing to advance on this tiny republic. But the might of Russia's Air Force, with its awesome firepower, fell down on Grozny's people today. Yet so many are prepared to carry on suffering. The warplanes may be above them. These people have little, but they refuse to surrender. Tonight, this city is under bombardment again. Whatever is said in the Kremlin, the people of the Chechen capital think nothing will stop Russia from continuing its onslaught.
Appears to suggest that non-disclosure of share dealing does not breach